Hey everybody, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather, along with the whole full house here, and we've decided to come on just a little bit early here. No warnings quite yet, although we think there will be some warnings coming out for Williamson County here, just even in the next few moments. But we're really watching a storm back here to the southwest of Williamson County. This is in Hickman County right now. This storm is getting its act together in a few different ways. And some of those ways are a little bit concerning to us, and so we're going to go ahead and start covering this as it starts coming into to Williamson County here over the next half hour or so. And it looks like this storm that currently has a tornado warning on it does have, of course, rotation with it. And it looks like there are some signs that the storm is strengthening even a little bit more. Nothing confirmed as far as a tornado goes at the moment, but it's enough to where we want to be paying attention to this because it's going to be headed for some population centers, namely Franklin and up toward Nolensville, and as well as southwestern Williamson County. So definitely something to watch. We'll be letting you know of any warnings that come out with it, and we think those could come fairly soon. So here are some ETAs for you. Let me back out just a little bit and give you some ETAs. Looks like Franklin around 4:18. Looks like Oak Hill, even on the north side up there, around 4:30, but it probably will be aimed more toward Franklin and maybe even a little bit even to the south of that. So Nolensville, Antioch, B&A, Laverne, Percy Priest Lake, even on the north side. But again, pay attention, especially from Franklin and Nolensville down to the south. Definitely possible to get some ugly weather here as we watch this supercell come in. We back out just a little bit and you can kind of see we got this one lone supercell with a few surrounding cells around it. But what we've been concerned about today is these lone supercells out ahead of any kind of main line we get later tonight. So, for us, our main show may be the supercells that come through Davidson and Williamson counties. And then we got to, of course, watch for a line later. But these supercells out ahead of this line are really something to watch. So anyway, we decided to come on just a little bit early here to let you know what was going on. So let's go ahead and talk just about this as far as what you need to be doing in Davidson and Williamson counties right now. If you're in especially Williamson County, but even up in Davidson, if you are in Williamson County, go ahead and have your safe place ready to go. All right, so you want to have, if it's below your steps in your house, your staircase, if it's in your basement, if it's in wherever it is, you want to have that. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning there that has just come out that includes Davidson and Williamson, mostly Williamson County, and this is for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds and the potential for some large hail as well. So 70-mile-per-hour winds possible with this storm as it comes up into Williamson. So again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We'll have to see if they extend the tornado warning up into Williamson County as well. They haven't done that yet. It's just it's a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds and large hail. But let's talk more about what to do to prepare for this storm coming in. It has kind of that look to it as a storm that is really getting its act together. And so you want to make sure your safe place is cleaned out. I know we got school stuff going on, dismissals and all that have been happening. You want to kind of be where you're going to be for a little while. So I've asked my family to stay at their school, but that's just my family. I've got a situation where I've got 3 family members that are at their school right now. So it's just we don't want people leaving somewhere now to travel somewhere unless it's to get to a safer place. All right. So the supercell is coming in from Hickman County. And we'll just kind of have to see how it evolves. But right now it has the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds and some large hail. So the primary thing I want to share with you with this storm is that we don't want you to be on the roads. Okay, we don't want you to be on the roads as this cell comes in. 70-mile-per-hour winds, even non-tornadic winds, 70-mile-per-hour winds while you're driving is a real problem, especially if you're in a lot of Williamson County that has a lot of trees. Okay, that can bring down a lot of trees, and you don't want one of those coming down on your vehicle. So when the storm gets to where you are, you want to go ahead and be where you're going to be to ride this storm out, and hopefully it's in a safe, well-constructed area so that you can ride this storm out. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Williamson County and the south part of Davidson County. And one thing we're watching are the hail sizes in this storm. The storm actually has pretty decent hail with. I mean, radar right here is coming at 3.5-inch hail. Now, is the hail really that large? Hard to tell. We'll have to see what reports come back with. You can send those to us using hashtag TSpotter over on X or DM us on Instagram. But there's potential some very large hail falling in the storm over in Hickman County. So if you're in Williamson County right now, and actually I'm starting to see some indications that the thing may be kind of turning right. So it looks like, especially southern Williamson County, this may be an issue for you. But even as far north as Leapers Fork and Franklin could be a big hail issue there as this storm comes in. I don't know if there's 3.5-inch hail falling, but there definitely is the potential for some large hail to be falling out of that storm. We saw some indications a little bit ago of some very strong updrafts going into that storm. Also looking at this cell that has gotten its act together here around 840 in Pinewood Road, Greenbrier, Garrison Springs. It also looks like it's producing hail. Going and looking at a view here where we can kind of see what's falling, and it looks like there's hail falling in this cell right there around the Pinewood Road exit, right there around the Williamson County dump down there. Looks like there's probably some decent hail falling there as well. But our main focus is this cell back here toward in north, northeastern Hickman County. See all these purples and these whites. This is a very healthy supercell. A very healthy supercell. It is a very healthy updraft. Has some indications here that this thing is going to be a pretty big storm as it comes through. So David is over on X. We have really everybody's involved here. Everybody's got a job today, and we are watching this storm come in. Tom, talk to us just a little bit about what to expect with this. You've been seeing some of the indications that this thing is getting a little stronger. And what would that with the people in Franklin right now, for example, what do they need to know about this as it comes their way?
Yeah, if that right motion you mentioned continued, the main threat there in Franklin would be hail. I think it's this has a tremendous hail core. I actually stepped back and looked at some of the radar surrounding us, like in Birmingham and in central Mississippi, to get a feel for how tall the core is in this storm, and it is massive. It is a humongously tall and very strong storm. So large hail and intense winds very close to the center of that storm as well. And those could get into the Franklin area as well. The main thing I'm concerned about is if this thing can kind of wrap up into more of that comma shape, get a little better circulation, then we're going to have a real problem. And that there's potential for that. So that's what we're watching. But you can see there's a few cells around that storm, so it's not the only game in town. So there's still a little bit of conflict that I think is not quite letting that storm hit its full potential. So fingers crossed that continues.
Getting some reports of golf ball size hail at the Hickman County High School, and that tracks with this. Wouldn't be surprised if it's even a little bit bigger at this point, the way that updraft has grown. So golf balls in around Hickman County High School there in Hickman County. So that's what's headed for us here in Williamson County. We're going to have to see how this storm evolves, and going to have to see how it storms are always evolving. They're always morphing. They're always changing. They are never exactly the same from one minute to the next. They're always developing or falling apart in one way or another. So we're just going to have to see radar scan to radar scan exactly how it's evolving. And so where the way it looks right now here on this radar image may look very different by the time it gets to Williamson County. And so it's very important that every radar scan, we're looking at it and we're getting a better idea of what to expect here in Williamson County, and whether the hail is growing, whether it's decreasing, whether rotation is strengthening. All of those things we're going to be watching here. So velocities, two areas we're watching. One of them is right up here, kind of where you see that triangle. That's one area we're watching there. The other area is really down here on the far southwest side of it, or southern side of the storm around Duck River. That's going to be probably the primary area we're going to be watching, is right down here at the bottom part of the red polygon around Duck River and just to the north there on Highway 50. And that's something we're going to have to watch. So on the northern part of the storm is where you're going to find the large hail, and on the southern part of the storm is where you're going to have the greatest threat for rotation and tornadoes. So something to watch for sure. Tornado watch continues until 10 o'clock tonight. So we don't think it will last that long. We think that the tornado watch will end or will be canceled early. But we're just going to have to deal with this for a while, and this may not be the last storm that we have to deal with. So this is one area of rotation we're watching. They're just north of Duck River. Let's do some ETAs on this again. This is the best guess here on ETAs. Looks like Franklin around 4:39. So about another 30 minutes here for this. And this would be sort of the back part of the storm. You're going to get rain before this. In fact, it's already raining. Got some downpours already in western Franklin over toward West Haven and the west loop of Mac Hatcher there at 96. So already some rain falling there. But the worst, kind of the hail core of the storm would be there here in about 30 minutes. So Trinity about 4:48, Creve Hall, they're kind of up on the northern side of it, Creve Hall up there around 4:52. But Triune and Nolensville especially, kind of like Franklin, the worst part of the storm probably will impact you, maybe even down toward Triune at around 4:50, 4:55. All right, so that's what we're watching there. It looks like some of these storms are starting to converge a little bit. This storm here is sort of getting brought into this larger storm. So this cell that was out ahead of it a minute ago, sort of becoming part of the parent supercell here. But
and that's happening on the south end too, Andrew. And that's
I see that.
That's got me concerned where that could be the impetus for a quick strengthening. So that's something we're gonna have to watch the next 15 minutes. Is how those incoming cells from the south are able to merge with that supercell.
Yeah, Tom, would you agree this area right here around Duck River, just north of Duck River, is probably the place to watch, at least at the moment. This kind of is the area there, and you can start to see a little bit of a comma shape taking place there around Duck River. May have some rotation. Continuing there, kind of getting going there around Duck River. So that'll make its way into northwestern Murray County first before it gets to us. But when it gets to us, it would be in places like Smarten and Greenbrier and across 840. So that would be where the this rotation would sort of head, and it looks a little bit more fuzzy now than it did just a second ago. But that's the area that we're going to be watching as this moves off to the east and the northeast. So, Stock, let's remind ourselves again about this severe thunderstorm warning, because that's the only thing that's in effect right now for Williamson County is this severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for 70 mile per hour winds and 2.5 inch hail. All right. 2.5, Tom, remind me, 2.5 inches.
That's like egg sized.
Egg size, yeah. I was going to say that's egg, or it's not quite lime, I guess, but yeah, that's egg size hail. So definitely a big hailstorm possible there around Craigfield, on the south sides of Fairview as well, and right around 840 around Boston, Greenbrier, Smarten, Pinewood Road, and on into Franklin. So Definitely a big hail core as a part of this storm. So, yeah, it looks like, man, radar's showing 3 3/4 inch, and now, well, actually, our one of the other sources we have, the MEHS product. I mean, it's showing 4.29 inch. This is very rare to see a signature like this in Middle Tennessee. 4.29 inch hail. Now, again, that's probably not reaching the ground, but I'm saying to see that radar data in Middle Tennessee at 4.29 inches on this radar product is not frequent. That is very rare to find that. So definitely some large hail falling, coming into Williamson County. So let's talk about some locations here. Craigfield, Barnhill Road, Lampley Road, Shoals Branch Road, Pinewood Road, Green Chapel, Walker Hill, Lick Creek, and down toward Greenbrier Road. Very large hail imminent in those places, and right along 840 as well. So if you know anybody that's driving on 840, specifically between I-40 and Dixon and the I-65 interchange down in Williamson County, so we're talking the Pinewood Road area, Boston, Burwood, you got the Burwood exit down there, the Lewisburg Pike, any of that stretch there of 840 between I-40 and Dixon and 65, they really need to pay attention and probably get off 840 and not potentially be injured by some hail. This is a very large hail possible coming through in 840. So they need to have a heads up on this. If you know somebody that's driving along 840 or any of those roads out there in some of the more remote or more rural areas of southwestern Williamson County. Franklin heads up for this. It looks like we'll have a hailstorm in Franklin unless something changes in the next little bit. And looks like Franklin hailstorm in the next 30 minutes or so is a pretty sure thing unless something changes.
National Weather Service saying baseball size.
Yeah, baseball size hail possible here. We're getting some reports of right at a little bit over 2 inch hail, just over 2 inches. That's going to be like golf ball size hail. Seeing some pictures of that come in, and so yeah, this hail is this is a real deal on hailstorms. This is not something we frequently get here in Middle Tennessee, but we've actually had a few this year. But I think even the larger hail that we saw here over the past couple of months, I don't think we've seen radar indications over 4 inches. Okay, so it looks like what they're going to do is they're going to add a tag to this warning. They're going to add this as destructive. So what it's going to do is it's going to set off your WEA alerts in Williamson County and southern Davidson County. So phones are going to be going off here in just a moment. It's going to sound like a tornado warning, but it's actually, again, something we don't get very often. It's a severe thunderstorm warning to the level that means that it's going to set your phones off, a WEA alert. All right, so you're going to get a WEA alert on your phone if you live in Brentwood or Franklin or Fairview or Greenbrier or Spring Hill. Again, this is not something we see. I don't see this polygon very often on our screen around here. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that is possibly going to produce 70-mile-per-hour winds, but some very large hail, potential for some very large hail coming into Franklin. So you need to be, if you're in Franklin, you need to prepare for the potential of baseball-size hail. And it's not something I say very often, but Franklin, you need to prepare for a big hailstorm. Be in a sturdy place, be in a place that's doesn't have a lot of glass, be away from the glass, be away from windows, and probably a good idea to be kind of on the lowest floor. So the tornado warning back to the west is going to be allowed to expire. So for the moment, the tornado threat is not going to be the primary threat. The primary threat at the moment is going to be this really, really big hail that looks to be coming through Williamson County. So right now coming through places around 840 on the west side of Williamson County, and then we'll probably be coming into Kingfield and Leapers Fork. Leapers Fork has a very, very large hailstorm imminent, and Franklin even possible there in Franklin over as we go further east. Okay, so potential exists for some very large hail. Let's kind of time this out a little bit. Could be in the next 30 minutes. I'd say maybe 20 minutes in Franklin, starting with West Haven and going to the east. Again, could be baseball size hail. All right, so I'm sure we're going to have a lot of folks join us. So I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit because we're probably going to have a lot of folks joining us on the stream here because we have WEA alerts going off. So probably we'll have a lot of folks join us wanting to know what's going on. So bear with me while I repeat myself a few times while we've got this cell coming through. So again, this tornado warning back to the west in Hitman County is going to go away in about 3 seconds. It's going to disappear. Right now, that's not going to be the primary threat. There it goes. The primary threat here is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning. And this severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County and far south Davidson County is the strongest severe thunderstorm warning they issue. So strongest one they issue. It's for 70 mile per hour winds and baseball size hail. All right, so both are possible back here in western Williamson County around Greenbrier, where you see this purple. This purple here is likely baseball size hail from Greenbrier to the Pinewood Road exit on 840, all along 840 between Boston and Craigfield. So approaching Burwood, approaching Kingfield and Leapers Fork. If you're in Leapers Fork or anywhere within this polygon, you need to get to a place away from windows, because hail of this size, and if it has wind with it, hail of this size will go through windows. All right?
Andrew, if you take a look at velocity real quick, and you'll see
Sure.
there's a real surge of velocity in far western Williamson County, coincident with that hail.
Yeah, absolutely. There it is. So
that is really dangerous right there.
Yeah, so baseball-sized hail being driven by 70 mile per hour winds is a bad deal. It's a bad deal. All right. So if you're out ahead of this thing in around western Williamson County and moving over even toward Franklin, you need to get in a place that is sturdy and that will protect you from very large hail. All right. So don't be outside. This is not one you want to go out and look at. The hail of this size will seriously hurt you if it hits you right. Okay. It will seriously hurt you. So be very careful with this storm. Again, looks like they got a new, no, maybe not. So sticking with what we've got. Yes, let's talk about this severe thunderstorm warning. What I was going to say was that if you're just joining us here, this is the highest level of severe thunderstorm warning that the National Weather Service issues. Okay, and this is because we have the potential for 70 mile per hour winds and baseball size hail. So let's talk about reports just for a minute. We want to know what's happening where you are, but only if you can let us know about that safely. So don't go outside while there is baseball size hail falling and get a picture of the baseball size hail for us. Please wait until it's safe to do that. But we want you to let us know what's happening. Send us reports using hashtag TSpotter. A lot of y'all do such a great job with this. But these reports are vital for the Weather Service. They're going to want to know what's going on, not only in Williamson County, or they want to know what's going on in Williamson County so that they can issue warnings downstream with accurate information, what's happening at the ground level. So use hashtag TSpotter to send us those reports or DM us on Instagram. And that's the best way to let us know what's going on. All right, so you're looking at a radar image here from Williamson County. Let me zoom out just a little bit to lets you see the whole thing. So this polygon here that runs pretty much from the 440 loop in Nashville down to the south, all the way down to the southern border of Williamson County down to Spring Hill. This polygon here is containing a storm that could be producing baseball-sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. And the combination of those two things, both are bad. The combination of the two is pretty rough, all right? And looks like that area of strong damaging wind that Tom was just talking about is just now crossing us over towards South Harpeth Road, Coldwater Road, Deer Ridge, Pewitt. That's South Harpeth running on up into Fernvale. So definitely the potential for some wind-driven hail there. But it looks like the hail core, or the hail that's falling right now, is falling right there around 840. So 840 and let's see that. That's the Pinewood Road exit. Okay. Yeah, right there around the Pinewood Road exit. All right, so let's talk about what to do with this. Right there where you see those purples is where we suspect the largest hail is falling, and the potential is there for baseball-sized hail with this coming through Williamson County. If you're watching from up in Davidson County, the heaviest of this hail, the largest of this hail, looks to be mostly south of Davidson County, okay? So the polygon it kind of clips Davidson up there. And so if you're in downtown, this doesn't affect you right now in downtown Nashville. This is pretty much from the Brentwood area and those communities just north of Brentwood down to the south. So is who's involved with this. But this area, if you go even further south down here where this purple is, that's right now where the largest hail appears to be falling. And that's going to be right along Pinewood Road. Pretty much all of Pinewood Road there, right around 840, is going to be where that is. Losing a little bit of the purples in there, and that's a good thing, but we can't, we're not going to read too much into that right now, but a little bit less of the purples right there, which is a good thing maybe momentarily, but headed right up into the, let's see, it's Leapers Fork, Fernvale, south of Fernvale mostly, Kingfield. Let's go look at where this thing's going. Let's call out some roads here. All right, Old Hillsborough Road, South Hall, Boyd Mill, Floyd Road, Bailey Road, Carl Road, Coleman Road, all the way over to Columbia Pike. There's Highway 96 there, west of Franklin. This is roads there in West Haven. This is right around Jim Warren Park, Downs Boulevard. That's, again, there's Sullivan Farms. This is Mac Hatcher. This is Lewisburg Pike. All right, so I'm just kind of getting your bearings here. Beechwood Plantations down here. Carl Road, Bailey Road, Leapers Creek, Pinewood, Old Hillsborough, Blazer Road, McMillan Road. Okay, so these are some of the areas. King Lane, some of these areas that may get this large hail over the next little bit. Tom, you're looking a little bit more at this probably than I am as far as the analysis behind the scenes. What are you seeing here as far as are there any trends with this, or is it kind of keeping what it has?
It's more or less keeping what it has. I think it's getting some of its inflow cut off with the cells to the south, and it's maybe I think it's trying to kind of refocus its energy a little further south. So we'll see what happens with that hail core. If the core of the mesocyclone, the core, kind of that beating heart of the supercell, the rotating part, if that reforms further south over maybe far northern Murray County or right on the county line, it might tend to get some of that larger hail to fall apart just a little bit, or maybe shift into the southern part of the county over the next 30 to 40 minutes.
That's good to know. Yeah, so we'll watch, especially down here toward the south, Spring Hill. We'll kind of see how it does as far as refocusing that energy down to the south. The storm, as Tom was saying, is sort of ingesting some other small cells around it, and that can mess with the updraft a little bit. It can mess with the structure for a little bit, but then it sort of it's kind of like a business acquisition, right? I mean, things kind of get a little messy there for a minute when you acquire a business and you got to do some transition and stuff like that. But then hopefully you come out a stronger business, right, at the end of the acquisition, all that stuff. It's kind of this. I mean, the storm sort of ingesting other little cells around it, and then it can eventually refocus its energy and get its act back together and potentially be a stronger storm after doing so. So we got to kind of watch and see how this evolves. Just because it's getting a little bit weaker maybe on the hail sizes right now or aloft doesn't mean that we won't see a large hailstorm or even a potential tornado down the road here in 20, 30, 40 minutes. We can't take trends from western Williamson County and apply them to eastern Williamson County effectively with an atmosphere that we have today. So severe thunderstorm warning continues here for 70-mile-per-hour winds and the potential for baseball-size hail. So we still have some strong winds out there. We don't see I don't see the focused areas of 70-mile-per-hour winds that we had just a little bit ago. We'll let that radar scan come around and we'll see if anything reappears there, but potentially maybe the 70-mile-per-hour winds may have slacked off a little bit. Not seeing the blues there anymore. So that's encouraging, but again, we can't make too many assumptions there on the trends. All right, so let's talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to, the storm definitely appears to be refocusing its energy a little further south. So that new updraft, I think, is going up there between Spring Hill, Boston, Keystone, above that little notch. And I think that's the area to really watch for further development. But the current severe part of the storm is still in that real high reflectivity, that bright red and orange up west of Franklin. So the storm is kind of transitioning as we speak a little bit.
Yeah, so this up here might not have quite as strong of an updraft as it did earlier, and what you would see in a traditional supercell is the largest hail would be kind of right on the northern flank of the inflow here, and so you would find a lot of large hail kind of right in here. So as Tom was saying, it might be sort of refocusing its energy down here, and we could see some redevelopment down here around just north of Thompson Station, the Ag Center, Fairgrounds, up toward Triune, Burke Hollow, Nolensville, McKay's Mill. Those are the areas in particular to sort of watch for if this thing starts to sort of refocus its energy again down there around the inflow and right there around the center part of that storm. So, but yeah, the strongest part of the storm appears to still be back here on the western side of it, right there from Kingfield, stretching down through Leapers Fork, and down toward Boston. But it does appear that hail sizes have come down some. See here. Here's kind of a view of that. Let's loop that and kind of see. Yeah, you can kind of see how the hail sizes really got going there in western Williamson County, and then they've relaxed just a little bit. So let's hope that trend continues. That doesn't look right, does it? Here we go. All right, so let's keep in mind here, we do have a severe thunderstorm that is a severe thunderstorm warning that continues for Williamson County. And this is the highest level of severe thunderstorm warning that they issue at the local National Weather Service office. And this is for 70-mile-per-hour winds and baseball-size hail. And so this is for a storm that has a history of producing large hail. And it looks like the hail sizes have come down just a little bit. And that's good for us, good for you around Franklin. but something to keep an eye on as it potentially gets its act together again. Taking a look at the Weather Service, some notes they're putting out here. Okay, so they're talking about a tornado warning that's coming out down here for a storm in southern Murray County. That's not going to be for us. Yeah, there's that polygon. So something we'll have to watch, but not going to be for us right now. I think might be getting its act together again, Tom. I think starting to see a hail core back on the MEHS product here. Starting to see some hail showing back up there, maybe a little bit larger.
It's got a tremendous updraft core again, right on the county line in far southern Williamson.
There
you
it
can
is
see
right
there.
there.
It's got to beware.
Yeah. We call
Bounded
it
weak echo region is that
bounded
little
weak
eye
echo
there.
region. Yeah.
That's that eye. That's indicative of the strongest updrafts. Only the strongest updrafts and thunderstorms develop those.
So one thing we also see here is it's called a 3-body scatter spike. We won't get in the weeds on that, but it's a radar artifact there that basically is showing that the radar beam is shooting through a dense hail core there. So you can kind of see those radar returns shooting out to the southwest of Theta. And so definitely a hail core there that has perked back up that wasn't there. Look how it just appears there in the latest scan. So storm appears to be getting its act together again. Could start seeing some large hail develop again from Leapers Fork and Boston over to I-65. So areas of Franklin, especially south of Franklin, but really anywhere from, Mac Hatcher on the north side down to the south. So could be getting its act together again. Tom, that was a good catch. That it looks like it's really perked up.
As I first noticed that on the Birmingham radar. I just keep that on the side to watch to monitor that updraft strength. And as soon as I just popped from Birmingham, so we knew it was going. So that just allows us to zoom in on the local radar and see that bounded weak echo region. So yeah, I'm just using all the technology to kind of interrogate the storm from all angles.
Well, and that's what Tom can do over there. I've got to be a little bit limited to the amount of stuff I can have up here to show y'all, but it's good to have Tom over there. Tom, retired National Weather Service meteorologist, by the way. Glad to have Tom here to help us sort of interpret some of the stuff we're seeing and even the stuff that we're not seeing that he's seeing. So all of it's good. When he's here and helping us interpret it. So looks like the severe thunderstorm warning, they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning. They have they've downgraded it to a level 2 out of 3 of severe thunderstorm warnings. Still a serious storm, and it's one to be very very cognizant of as it comes through Franklin and eventually over toward Nolensville and Trinity and Page High School and Triune. Meant to say Triune, but same applies to Trinity. So definitely a storm to watch as it comes through. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning continues for another 28 minutes, and this is, let's see if any other details here. Nothing really new, but could have some, let's call it golf ball size hail, or ping pong ball size hail there coming through Franklin and Thompson Station here in the next little bit. Right,
looking at the core, the mid levels of that storm, the core of it from several different angles, it's about as strong aloft as it was over far western Williamson and the eastern part of Hickman counties, where it was dropping gigantic hail. So it could start hitting the ground here pretty soon with even larger hail the next 5 to 10 minutes. So certainly something to take very serious.
Okay, good to know. And we're starting to see some of those reflectivity core, or the stronger reflectivities come back again. So around South Hall, Beechwood Plantation, over toward Keystone, Sullivan Farms heads up, as well as I think I said South Hall Road. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm trying to pull up the Franklin traffic cameras, and I'm having trouble. They may not be up right now. I'll try it again in a minute. But those would be good to have. So we'll be watching TDOT as well. Let me get TDOT cameras up. Let's see if we can watch this thing as it comes across 65 here in a bit. All right.
While you're doing that, I'll just mention, you can see, especially from the northern Alabama radar, the circulation in the middle of that storm has strengthened. So again, that's indicative of that very strong updraft, very large hail potential. All hazards of the severe spectrum are possible over that part of the county here over the next 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, good call. And let's go look at velocities here. A little bit messy. That's bad data there around 65, just east of 65 there. But we're going to be watching this very carefully, these velocities, as the storm kind of ramps up again. Appears it's kind of doing what we talked about, where the storm can sort of cycle here, and we're getting some really high reflectivity values here now, right there along Henpeck Lane. And right there around South Hall. So it looks like it's kind of on the uptick again, guys, and could have some large hail. That's Coleman Road. Excuse me. That's Coleman Road there just south of Franklin, Carter's Creek Pike, Coleman Road, King Lane, Kittrell Road. So that's where some really large reflectivities are right now, indicative of some large hail falling. And yeah, the hail sizes are going back up according to radar. So start to getting those really big returns again. So incoming large hail once again seems possible from Franklin to Sullivan Farms down to the Ag Center, and eventually over there east of I-65 toward the neighborhoods there, Cedarmont, Ladd Park, Trinity Park, Nestledown Farms, Trinity, all the way over there toward Trinity Road, and then eventually over toward Arrington and Burke Hollow and Triune. All right, so looks like the storm's getting its act together again, and we could have some very large hail falling in Williamson County very shortly, and appears we already do. In fact, let's I can kind of show you here exactly where the hail is falling. Looks like there's hail falling really from the Goose Creek bypass over to I-65 and then up towards South Hall. So sort of see this V shape where it's kind of a backwards Y, right? So this is sort of where the hail appears to be falling according to radar. So it's probably larger back here, maybe just a little bit smaller down here. We'll have to see. This is where the heaviest returns are, but right in here is where we're seeing hail falling. All right, let's back out just a little bit so you can kind of see. Looks like they've upgraded the warning again. So we're back at the highest level of severe thunderstorm warning again for destructive hail, potentially baseball-size hail now coming into Franklin. All right, so from downtown Franklin down to Sullivan Farms. Man, I wish the Franklin traffic cameras were working. Let's see if I can... Oh, man. Okay, that's a bummer. Yep, not working at all. Okay, well, that's not going to help us. We'll watch some TDOT cameras, though, as this comes into Franklin. So I just happened to catch the traffic map over there around Franklin. It looks like a lot of traffic, as usual this time of day, right from 96 all the way from downtown Franklin over to the interstate. And looks like they may be about to get a lot of large hail there. So looks like the largest of the hail core is coming into crossing Columbia Pike, and then we'll be moving to the north and east. Let's put some ETAs on that. So if it continues on its track, maybe especially pay attention to the southern parts of this track. So that would be places like Nolensville down to the south. So Nolensville, 457, and then down toward McCandless Road and Triune right around that time as well. All right. So new radar scan coming, and that'll give us some information as far as where the core is. Yep, there's the core. So heaviest. Let me get my act together here. Largest of the hail is going to come right over Sullivan Farms, it looks like. So Mac Hatcher, right there at the Williamson County Memorial Gardens, the Williamson County Funeral Home, right there at the corner of Mac Hatcher and Columbia Pike. That's where the hail is now. Sullivan Farms, Henpeck Lane, and then on over toward I-65 here in just a minute. So you've got Columbia Pike, Lewisburg Pike, and then I-65 is where the largest of the hail is. This could be big hail. This could be really big hail. So potentially up to the size of baseballs. All right? Potentially to the size of baseballs. And let's see what radar's saying. Radar's saying those hail sizes could have come down a smidge from what it was showing just a second ago. But, I mean, these hail sizes could be really big coming into Sullivan Farms here. All right, so as this storm comes through, especially with the hail from Columbia Pike over to Lewisburg Pike, Sullivan Farms to I-65 to Trinity Park, all those neighborhoods over on the east side of I-65, you want to be in a safe place, not so much from tornadic winds as from wind-driven hail. You don't want to deal with this hail. This hail is going to be big hail, and you don't want to mess with it. So you want to be in a place away from windows, because this kind of hail will break windows if it gets blown into those windows, okay? So the strongest hail returns here are from downtown Franklin down to the south and over toward Page High School. So where you see these purple reflectivities here from Sullivan Farms, from Mac Hatcher down to the south, Henpeck Lane, Williamson County Ag Center. Let's go ahead and look at some. Traffic cameras here. Let's see if this one's got it. All right, I'm gonna be watching this one. This is south of Highway 96. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one over on the other screen here, but that's going to be pretty close to where this large hail is going to go, and I have a feeling we're going to get a pretty good idea from that camera what's up.
One thing I'll say from a good standpoint is there's still been no evidence that the lower levels of the storm have tried to wrap up into anything spinning or tornadic. So far it's just been a supercell producing massive hail, and that's still bad, but it could be worse. So just keep watching this storm.
Yeah, it looks like we got people pulling over now. That's a pretty good indication that there's big hail falling. They're pulling over right against the wall there on the southbound side. So it's pretty easy to tell here in Middle Tennessee when hail starts falling. Everybody starts pulling over. But yeah, this is probably a pretty big mess here. Hard to tell exactly what's falling. Hard to tell, but people sure are slowing down as this hail core crosses I-65. Again, this is just south of Highway 96. right, back to radar here. Let's see. I'm going to go to one other traffic camera here, right around Highway 96. Let's see if this is showing anything different. All right, so strongest reflectivities are right here around Highway 96 and right here around, it's going to be Oxford Glen, right there on kind of the new Highway 96, the new construction out there. So east of I-65, going down toward Trinity Park, down toward Fly Park, and Trinity Elementary School is there. That's where this hail core is headed. Eventually over to, looks like it's headed, if we take it to the northeast, Trinity Park, Trinity, right there in Trinity, and then eventually Burke Hollow, and maybe the south parts of Nolensville over to the east. And so that's where the strongest of the hail is right now and where it's headed. So the storm has been kind of getting its act together. It's been cycling. It's been sort of falling apart a little bit, and then it gets its act back together again and starts producing large hail. So we're kind of in that stage right now where it's dropping large hail again, and then it could ramp itself back up again as it comes into Nolensville. It looks like the reflectivity is coming back up again here, right there around Arno Road, over toward North Chapel Road and Highway 96, Murfreesboro Road, going from I-65 toward Arrington. So Trinity heads up, Burke Hollow heads up, and Nolensville heads up. Looks like the hail was, oh man, we got some big hail reports coming in from Thompson Station. Looks like in South Franklin, larger than golf balls, smaller than baseballs. So looks like some big hail with this coming in. One moment here. All right. Checking in with the Weather Service to see what they are going to do here with this warning. Assuming they're going to be extending this warning off to the east, it's just a matter of what it looks like. Looks like this hailstorm's going to come right over me, guys. It's already been right over David. It's going to come right over me too, but I've already got a new roof coming. So, but not from this storm. It was from one a couple of months ago. Yeah, big hail core there. Wow. All right, so big hail core right around Trinity Road. Wilson Pike is where the hail core is now, and it will be eventually crossing Wilson Pike over onto Burke Hollow Road, and then the south parts of Nolensville. So really Clovercroft Road down to the south is the primary place it looks like at the moment where it could get on up toward Nolensville High School, but looks like the strongest of the hail core may stay just south. We'll have to see. But this is going to be some big hail coming through between Triune and Nolensville here in just a little bit. Waiting to see where this new polygon is going to be for a new severe thunderstorm warning. I assume that is coming shortly. But let's just call it from Nolensville down to 840 looks to be where the biggest hail is going to happen. So from Clovercroft Road, especially from Clovercroft down to the south.
Yeah, Andrew, you're going to get slapped.
I am. Yep, new severe thunderstorm warning coming out for the storm in Williamson County. It has a history of producing very large hail. So,
I cannot keep up with the number of hail photos we're getting sent.
really?
It is
Me neither.
crazy.
Well, that's probably why my phone's buzzing. I can't even look at my phone. I've got who knows how many messages I have right now.
Sun's out in West Nashville.
Oh, really?
We probably should real quickly give just a broader view, because folks in Davidson are not out of the woods at all. There's a lot more coming in.
Good call.
We'll switch over to that here before too much longer, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming through still over the next few hours. So the imminent threat is what's happening south of Franklin, moving into southeast Williamson County, but there's a long way to go tonight.
Okay, the hail is starting to fall at my house. Starting to.
Every bit of 3.5 inches of hail that I just dropped in chat, Andrew, if you want to show that.
Okay.
I will say it just came through my place and it hailed for about 4 minutes. It's the biggest hail I've seen in 22 years come through Williamson County, at least at my house. And it was definitely bigger than a ping pong ball, smaller than baseball. A couple of them about approximated the size of a lacrosse ball, if y'all familiar with that. Pretty noisy and impressive. So it lasted about 4 minutes and then it was over. I certainly would not want to be driving in that. Now we got a new warning extending it out here, Andrew.
Yeah, Tom, would you mind taking this for a moment, please? And I need to make sure all of my animals are safe real quick. I apologize to do that, but Tom, would you mind talking for just a moment?
Yeah, so we continue to see. I've been watching the upper levels of this storm the last few minutes. We continue to see it. It's wanting to kind of redevelop again on that southern flank. You see that little bit of curvature there to the northwest of Eagleville, and that's where your new core is going up. And there's another storm that it may end up catching up with all this coming up from the southwest. They've been tornado warning that storm as well. I don't think that'll hold together in effect. Williamson County proper. So, but very, very complex. And then of course we're watching for additional development as the strong line comes in from the west. And that line will be severe for most of the area. And there could be additional traumatic activity along that as well. So these storms, the storm that was, that dropped the largest hail there between Thompson Station and Franklin, was almost a little over 50,000 feet tall in the atmosphere. So an incredibly tall storm. And as the updraft got strong, it started to rotate, and that helps again enhance that storm even more. So that's what we've seen. So
Tom, it looks like that storm is over Burke Hollow right now.
Yeah.
South of Nolensville is going to cross over looks like 31A. That's a road between Nolensville and 840. But it looks like the tops are coming down a little bit and kind of cycling like it was before. Is that right? Looks like it was most intense as it came through parts of Franklin, and then it perked up between like over Trinity Park, over by Page High School. And now it's over by Burke Hollow and about to cross just south of Nolensville. But I would expect that the sizes would have come down a little bit. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's and it may produce a little more wind as that core comes down a little bit. Sometimes the storm will gush out a little bit of strong wind, but yeah, it's gone through another cycle. I think it will strengthen again on that southeastern flank. But the worst of that may be in the far southeast part of the county, or even over into Rutherford County. As it moves on over there. So
yeah, one of the things that struck me, and again, the latest scan just came in here at 4:53, and it looks like it's the hail core is starting to have already collapsed. It's starting to have spent most of its hail. But one of the things that struck me about it was it was coming through was it wasn't coming straight down. It was coming in at an angle, at about like a 20-degree angle, because the winds were so strong, and it was the windblown stuff. In fact, we put our two most loved cars under shelter, and the cars we don't care about in the street. And they look, I don't know how they survived that, but the good news is it looks like this thing is not quite as strong as it was 15, 20 minutes ago, and it's now about due south of Nolensville. And I'd say probably the largest core looks like it's over by Page High School, right along 840 near College Grove, between Arno and College Grove on 840.
Yep.
That's the strongest core. So if you're on 840, so for example, if you're in Murfreesboro and you're trying to drive to Franklin, that's a no-go for you. You're going to run into some hail there and some torrential rainfall, and it's going to be almost impossible to see. And please don't stop under an overpass. It only creates a very significant hazard for you and for the people coming along. And then from there on, it looks like the core of the storm might be trying to move out. And then if we look out towards the west, we've got the main line, which looks like a total mess, but there's a couple of tornado warnings out there for that one. One near Camden and one up in Dover in northwest Middle Tennessee, or by land between lakes. So this is not the last round of this. But Tom, what do you think the odds are we getting another storm like this one in Williamson County, having just been worked over pretty good by the supercell?
Unlikely, but supercells don't contaminate the environment as much as lines and other kinds of storms do, just because they tend to have warmer outflow. That said, this storm did produce a lot of some cold outflow. I'm sure you're feeling it there in Williamson County. And but the atmosphere around it, just to the south of the county, just to the west of the county, things are recovering quickly. So it's certainly not time to let your guard down. And the environment to the northwest is still pretty favorable as well. Certainly west of Davidson County has not been worked over nearly as much. So unlikely we'd get anything like this again. More likely we'll get something along a line that could have damaging winds and spin up tornadoes.
What's your opinion of the canceling of the moving of the AC/DC show at Nissan, Tom?
Tornado warning for Williamson County was just issued for the storm in Columbia. So let's talk about that just real quick. This is a new tornado warning for the storm down in Murray County, and this is potential tornado down there. Let's look at some ETAs with this. This is going to basically clip southeastern Williamson County, really from 840 down to the south and the southeast. So from Triune down to the south, and then really that's about it on this particular cell. But if you live down that way, you're getting alerts on your phone for a tornado warning. That's what this is. It's for this cell down in Columbia right now, as it is wrapping up, and they want to make sure we're aware of that. Sorry, guys, for jumping in there.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, a tornado warning always takes precedence over AC/DC concert rescheduling.
Hail core fell apart right before it got to my place. We didn't have anything larger than quarters.
Okay, good.
Animals are okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if I got one of the two dogs in, but they were both in. But it started falling by the time I got out there, and I thought I'd just kind of see what it did. It's a little hard to see from where I'm sitting here how large the hail is. So, yeah, it was brief, and it never got larger than quarters. I think at my house, the one we had a couple of months ago, or about a month ago, was larger in size. Let's see here. All right, so if you're just joining us here, got a couple of things going on. Let's back out just a little bit and see what all we have. We got a full plate here, and we got, first of all, this severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County and southeastern Davidson County for this storm that has been producing very large hail from Middle Tennessee. Lots of pictures of hail, maybe not quite baseballs. We've gotten some baseballs though, I think, haven't we? I see a couple of pictures that look pretty close. So close to baseball size hail through Williamson County, and that storm is quickly moving off into Rutherford County and may get its act together again. Again, when it came through my place, I live between Franklin and Nolensville, and when it came through my place, that hail was much smaller, and that core went right over my house. And that core was much smaller than it was for you guys that live a little bit further west and are sending in the pictures from Franklin and places like that got larger hail than I did. That core was collapsing, I think, as it came over my place. So that storm is moving into Rutherford County, and then our next storm to watch, well, a couple of fold. One's going to be up here in Davidson County. You guys are going to need to watch this storm that's crossing the Tennessee River now. That has a severe thunderstorm warning with it back into Dixon County. So this is going to be kind of your storm to watch over the next little bit that might impact downtown Nashville and a good chunk of Davidson County. All right, so that's going to be your, as Tom mentioned, got to remember Davidson County and the stuff that's coming in from the west. And that's going to be the storm that's going to be impacting y'all in Davidson County more than likely. Again, as we've seen just even in the last few minutes, how things evolve from minute to minute to minute with these cells. They really are always changing. They're never exactly the same from 1 minute to the next. So we don't know yet with this storm back here in west or just east of the Tennessee River. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like by the time it gets to Nashville. So kind of put your bookmark there and come back to it here in a little bit as we watch that storm come our way. Down here in Williamson County, the next thing we have to watch after this little hailer gets out of here from like McCandless Road and Triune and Kirkland. So once it kind of gets out of here, our attention turns to this cell that's down in Columbia right now. And this cell in Columbia has been tornado warned up into Williamson County, and that is in effect until 5:30. So until 5:30. So another 30 minutes to go on that warning down in the Columbia area and kind of scraping southeastern Williamson County. So here's some ETAs for you that would put it at about 20 to 25 minutes at the Williamson County line. In far southeastern Williamson County, think Cross Keys, think Allisona, think Kirkland. All right, those areas there in far southeastern Williamson counties, 25 minutes coming into the county. That'd be at about 5:20 or so. And then it would pretty quickly push off into Rutherford County once it gets to us. But again, it also could have some hail with it. If you look down here on the reflectivities here, you see the purples in that storm there around Columbia. The hail sizes don't look quite as big as what we had in Williamson County. It's a much more compact storm. So not quite as big of a storm in many ways as the one in Williamson County as far as hail goes. But man, look at the hail. The hail reports have just lit up here. All of these are hail reports coming in through Williamson County. So especially down there in Keystone. So very large hail there in Williamson County. That storm's pushing off to the east. Weather Service notes that they expect with this sort of main blob, this main line. So kind of here's the main line back here. Let's kind of see that, okay? The main line is kind of back here, and we're looking at the from the Nashville radar. Let's switch over to Memphis. Maybe we may get a better look at it. Let's see here. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a better look. So this is kind of the main line that stretches from just east of Memphis on up to Paris and Henry County. So that's pushing east, and that will exhibit more of a wind threat for us, the Weather Service says. That's a good note, something to keep in our back pocket. This will probably be more of a wind threat, and this is probably still an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So that would put it being here at about 6:30, getting pretty close to the west sides of Williamson County. But again, the timing can change. Don't put too much stock in that ETA. But that will be the main line that once it's through here should end our severe threat. I think that's accurate to say, right? Isn't it, guys? That is the end of our severe threat, is that line.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Make sure I wasn't missing something there, but I think it is. So we got to wait for that to get through here before everything is dealt with. Y'all are right, man. The hail reports coming in big time.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the biggest hailstorms we've had come through here in quite some time.
Absolutely.
There was one in Franklin, a year or two ago, and Franklin got really large hail there locally. But this is one of the largest ones I remember coming through populated areas here in Williamson County.
I just dropped a confirmed photo of a hailstone next to a baseball, and it's actually slightly bigger than the baseball.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, that's a good one, Graham. Graham is on the stream, by the way, even though you can't see his camera. He is here.
So right now, they're the only real ongoing hazard is the small hail going in from 840 between Williamson County and Rutherford County over by the castle. And then there's that tornado warning storm down in Columbia that the top of and the end of that polygon clips parts of southeast Williamson County. Otherwise, we're waiting for the rest of this line to come in, which I think the HRRR did an incredible job on this one today with the forecasting on the timing that we think, Andrew, about 6:30, 7:30, somewhere around there where that main line will come through. It'll be mostly a wind and rain issue. I'd also be started to be concerned about aerial flood advisories and additional rainfall, especially down in Williamson County that just got hammered with rain. I wouldn't be surprised if creeks start to get up and we have ponding and other flooding hazards as we go through the evening. But by the time we go to bed, this will all be over, y'all.
Thanks,
The
Dave.
chat is clamoring for Graham's baseball-sized hail photo. If you could share
okay.
that, Drew.
Is it on Twitter?
I just dropped it in our Slack.
Oh, okay, good.
From Coleman Road in South Franklin.
There it is. Yep, Coleman Road. That's about right. That's right where the largest of hail returns was, right there around Coleman Road. That's exactly right.
And that's not a small baseball. That's one of those baseballs from Dick's. This is official baseball on the left side of that photo. I know it well. Sometimes people try to sneak in the smaller baseballs that they use in T-ball. But yeah, that's a
good catch, Blue.
Looks like the kind of baseball Chipper Jones might have hit, David.
Oh my goodness!
Is Rob Dibble's signature on it?
It did fall sideways.
Do you know David and I have been trying to sim the Rob Dibble Chipper Jones matchup in MLB The Show. We haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen.
We have to wait for storms to be over so we have time to do it.
Right. So I'm not seeing anything right now that is scaring me like an hour ago. But for those of you in southeast Williamson County, you are under a tornado warning in Bethesda and Cross Keys, right along Cross Keys Road. Those of you on Hatcher Lane, those of you on, Arno-Alisona Road, up in there, as this tornado warning storm in Columbia is working its way kind of in. I'm not real sure it's going to clip you there, but you might get a little bit of hail out of it. It's this storm is not easy to see on radar. It does have that little hook thing in there, but I don't think that's anything at all. So we need to watch that. So certainly don't be outside. Don't mess around with the storm. If you are in Bethesda or Cross Keys in southeast Williamson County, even over by Flat Creek Road, down there, I'd be in a lowest level interior room right now. But the biggest hail cores that we were talking about with the baseballs and everything, in Williamson County, that's over with. We're not seeing anything close to that now. And hopefully that storm doesn't mature as it gets forward. Somebody was asking me earlier today what I think would happen. It looks like the main line eventually will catch up to these supercells, but all these supercells are still going on. I mean, there's one down in Alabama that's going on. And hopefully we get this line in here and sweep all this out and we can go about our evenings.
Tom, talk to us a little bit about that storm down in Murray County. What are you seeing structure-wise? How is that storm behaving down there in Murray County for those that are, as David said, down in that far southeastern corner of Williamson? What are we seeing there?
Definitely a supercell.
Yeah.
And I think the concern with the National Weather Service is that we've had a couple small mini supercell, rather innocuous looking storms in both Lewis County and in Marshall County earlier produce tornadoes very suddenly out of a very nondescript signature. So I think that there's some kind of boundary that's laying across the middle to southern middle part of the area, southern part of Middle Tennessee. And so I think they're concerned that storm being so close to that boundary could produce a tornado at any minute. And I think it had some interesting structure with it, but I've not seen anything that would have evidence there's been a tornado yet. But I think that they are concerned it could form very quickly.
It's good to know. That's good to think about. And yeah, we do see that hail threat with it. Looks like mostly probably quarter size and smaller there. Not seeing anything really bigger than that on the radar indications. The Radar's done a pretty good job today of identifying the areas of the largest hail, and not seeing any signatures in that one anywhere close to the ones we had up in Williamson County earlier as far as the hail threat goes. But the rotation there is pretty weak. It's pretty weak rotation, but worth watching. And if the thing, like Tom said, we've had some tornadoes today. They're very weak tornadoes, but can take the roof off a barn or something like that. Some pretty weak tornadoes that have really formed fast in some of these smaller cells. And in fact, earlier today, a couple of hours ago, we had this big old supercell that came through Williamson County. When it was back further to the west, it wasn't really producing a whole lot, but these small, tiny little cells around Marshall County and Hohenwald and other places were producing small tornadoes just out of very small storms. So good thing to keep an eye on, good thing to watch there if you're in southeastern Williamson County with the potential of maybe a spin-up tornado with that. We'll just have to see, but it doesn't look super scary at this moment.
If you zoom back out, you'll notice that the coverage of all the thunderstorms and showers to the west of us has really blossomed over the last 30 minutes. There's just so much now. And I think we maintain a severe threat, absolutely. But all of that coverage, all those individual thunderstorms means that no one storm is taking all the energy. And that's what we want. So we'll have to watch the line. We'll have to watch the individual storms out ahead of that line to make sure they don't rotate. But it's not a bad thing that there's so much coverage of storm activity out to our west right now. So, fingers are crossed.
A crowded space is a good thing. When you get supercells like this and other storms developing, it's good to have a big mess out there on radar, so they can not all have the energy. That's a great point. Let's see. A lot has happened just in the past couple of minutes. I just want to make sure I'm not missing. Okay, that tornado warning was for Montgomery County up there.
And Tom, there are some sections of these storms that are going, vertical, right? Mm-hmm. You can see they just issued a warning in Clarksville.
Yep.
There's another section of that back west of the Tennessee River. Very interested to see what that's going to do. I know our look at it right now is really high up in the sky, but talk a little bit more about that.
Well, we got a lot of energy to come through still. So the cold front's still out to the west. That cold front coming in is what's kicking off that line of storms that extends from Jackson up through Hopkinsville. The more concerning storms will be out ahead of that line. But I think anything along that line is going to have enough energy with it that it could produce damaging winds, even still a quick spin up tornado. The hail threat will be less, and especially with all that stuff on the radar now, it's going to be a little harder to get hail.
One of the things we were watching for the other night was parts of the line that are standing more vertical on radar. We have a very different atmosphere today, but is that still applicable, or really are we kind of watching for anything up and down the line that could have the potential to have some damaging winds or rotation with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see a section there northeast of Jackson that is a little more north-south oriented, a little more of a spin-up threat there, certainly higher wind threat. I think that you want to see the two things are that tight reflectivity gradient on the leading edge, and then something that's oriented a little more north than northeast for your main threats on storms. And then, of course, anything out ahead of the line, all those little cells there have to be watched.
Looks like the hail threat picking up again over into Rutherford County. So this thing, as we've seen, is just sort of, in fact, let me just sort of go up in the atmosphere here, and you kind of see that really intense core at about 30,000 feet. Well, let me go back in time, and you can kind of see that fall apart, right? But then it perked up there in the west sides of Williamson County, and then it sort of would fall apart again, and then it would perk back up. There it is again in Rutherford County. So it looks like it's going to be Rutherford County's turn to deal with the large hail here in the next little bit over there between Smyrna and Murfreesboro. So
it's going through that same cycle it did.
It's that same cycle over and over again. That's exactly right. I think I just happen to be in this part of the cycle where I am along Highway 3141A, where it was in that kind of down cycle, and now it's ramping back up again over there toward I-24. Let's check on this tornado warning down here to the south. Looks like thing looks pretty ragged to me. It's losing a little bit of that supercellular structure that we look for. Looks a little bit more ragged than it did a little bit ago. So I'm not seeing anything too impressive there. Maybe just a little bit down on the far south side, but that's hard to tell. That's in kind of voodoo land down there as far as if that's real or not.
Its core is about gone too. When I step back and look at some of the more distant radars,
it looks like that storm's weakening.
Yeah, the storm over the borough jumps right out, but the stuff further southwest, stuff near Chapel Hill, does not have anywhere near the core it had before. So definitely weakening.
Well, we'll take it.
Yeah, looking at a camera on I-24, mile marker 70, traffic's almost at a standstill right now with what's coming in just south of Smyrna.
Let's see. Not seeing indications of large hail in the storm over Charlotte. I'm thinking Davidson County here in a little bit. Not seeing indications of a lot of hail falling there. Got some wind with it. If that's reaching the surface, that's at 3,500 feet. Looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds at 4,000 feet up there.
That wind was noted when the storm was coming through Waverly, and it looks like it's held up pretty well. It makes me wonder whether they're going to extend that warning.
Do they have any damage out there, Will? You would have a much better feel for that.
Absolutely, yeah. Damage all up and down the kind of corridor between Waverly, Erin, Dover, trees down, limbs down, stuff like that.
If you don't mind, take a look at the cell up by Fort Campbell in Clarksville. And a couple things to notice. One is the velocity signature is much better on it. There's a little bit of a circulation there along that leading edge. Yeah, right there. That's what so that's a spin up. That might be a tornado. It might not. I don't have the CC handy with that storm, but
Weather Service just continued that Clarksville tornado is radar confirmed east of Highway 41.
That's the reflectivity signature we want to be looking out for coming into Davidson County when that line gets in, and the velocity as well.
There's your CC drop right there.
There it is. Yeah, that's a tornado.
So, yeah, a little spin up tornado there up there in Montgomery County.
But notice how much narrower the line is and how much tighter the gradients are along it versus the stuff further south. There's just not nearly as much storm right there. So that little segment has a lot more energy to work with than the stuff that's sharing all the energy as you get further south down towards Aaron and areas further southwest.
Yeah, great point there. And we only covered Davidson and Williamson, but it's important for us to look at the storms in other places to get an idea of the signatures we're looking for here. So that's a great point where you've got a spin-up tornado here pretty close to the radar site, actually. So get a good view of it, and we can sort of see and tell you, hey, this is what we're looking for. So like down here, right there is a debris signature. So that's important to see as far as is that tornado on the ground? Well, the good probability it is. It is. They call that a radar confirmed tornado, and that's right there just south of the Clarksville Airport, like barely. And so
right through Fort Campbell.
Yeah. So this is going into the neighborhoods up there on the northern sides of Clarksville. So, yeah, quick spin-up tornado there, and that's kind of what that signature looks like. It's a very tight signature there, clear rotation, and a debris signature with it. So that's kind of what we're looking for when we're looking for these signatures today. Now, let's compare that with down here to the south where our tornado warning is. Let's go down and look at that. Not seeing much, okay? So down here in the southwest side, we're going to kind of be watching, but we don't see debris signature. Rotation doesn't look quite like it does up there. It's pretty broad. The storm itself is not quite as impressive, but we're going to have to keep an eye on it, all right? So that's kind of what we're looking for today as far as the tornado scene goes. And
yeah, that storm's cycling again. You can see all its energy's transferring further south. But it's going to stay over or south of Chapel Hill. It's going to stay south of Williamson County. That's going to head most likely over into Bedford.
This is from a traffic camera there in Clarksville, by the way. Montgomery County severe weather put that up there. It looks like hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of rain involved there, but definitely that could be all the way to the ground. So it's from Montgomery County severe weather, showing traffic camera there. All right, let's go back to our single view here, back out a little bit. The storm in southeastern or eastern Williamson County has perked up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's getting a little bit of it's been kind of strong. This is looking up. Let me go back one more radar scan here and kind of see how it's behaving. Yeah, this came out at 840. Crossed Arrington and could have a little bit of hail with it there around Wilson Pike, Osborne Road area. So still a decent storm down there. It's like a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out for, that's a lot of counties. Let's see. Oh, okay. I see what they've done here. So kind of an all-encompassing severe thunderstorm warning here that clips Williamson. And it's going to be for that. Well, it's going to be for a lot of things. All right, let's dive into it a little bit. Let's go with velocities. So it's for this line coming out of Benton County. lot of wind involved with that. It's also for this storm in Charlotte, Van Leer, Sladen over there in Dixon County with a lot of wind there. So it sort of involves the whole area here between the Tennessee River all the way up into Fairview. And we would assume that this would eventually make it into Davidson County. So, man, there's going to be a lot of rain with this as well. David, I think, mentioned the flooding threat. Could be some flooding involved with this as well, as this heavy rain makes its way through Davidson County especially, and could have some wind with it. The hail threat is, I mean, there's some hail with it. It doesn't look overly large right now. A severe thunderstorm warning calls for quarter-size hail as a possibility there. So at the moment, we're not looking at the baseball-size hail that we saw in Williamson County a little bit ago. But looks like quarter-size hail possible. But the main threat appears to right now be 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds. And as Will said a minute ago, the McEwen area, Waverly, down all across Humphreys County had some wind damage as this came through. And that wind that affected them down there a little bit earlier is now in northwestern Dixon County. And so that'll be pushing east and affect areas probably of northern Davidson County. Looks like they're continuing that tornado warning, but it does not include us. So, in fact, we didn't even get clipped. So that's good. So a storm is turning a little bit more right here. So they have issued another tornado warning for Marshall County, Bedford County, and Rutherford County, and it does not include us. So all clear for the tornado side in southeastern Williamson County. So if you were in your safe place there in southeastern Williamson County for the tornado warning, all clear there in southeastern Williamson County. Now, if you're just over the border in Marshall and you happen to be watching Chapel Hill, you're not all clear. So you guys down there in Marshall, Bedford, and South Rutherford are under the gun for potential tornado spin up there in those counties. But southeastern Williamson is all clear from the tornado threat. They're going to let that warning expire on the Williamson County side, and have issued a new one for the latest track that takes it south and east of us.
New little circulation south of the initial one in Montgomery County is trying to get going. It hasn't quite gone all the way up yet, but that's what we'll have to be watching over the next little bit. Is that Hopkinsville or is that?
That's Nashville. Let me switch over to
So
Hopkinsville.
little one there.
Oh, right there, yeah.
So those are the kind of signatures we'll be watching closely, and the Weather Service will be watching closely as that line comes in to make sure nothing spins up along it like that.
Man, those can happen so fast too.
Yep.
So that's Highway 76 that goes into Clarksville. This is Clarksville Highway. Those can happen so quick. So we call those kind of QLCS tornadoes over here. Just refer to that sometimes. It's kind of these that can happen within a line. And it looks like it's getting its act together. They may need to do something about that one here pretty soon.
I'm sure they see it.
Oh yeah. Yep. They are issuing it now, actually.
Andrew, I want to circle back to the flood threat. I did just get my first kind of flooded roadway reports in Williamson County. So I retweeted it. If you're on X, you want to take a look at what it is. But roads around North Lick Creek, around Leapers Creek, in South Franklin, around Lewisburg Pike, number of different road closures, which is indicative of what that heavy rain did when it came through. We'd expect to see that. But now more rain to our west, something that we'll keep looking for. So if you have flood reports, Really helpful to send those in using T-Spotter.
What do you know? A new flood advisory just pops up.
Hey, there you go. They were listening.
New flood advisory there for Davidson and Williamson and part of Murray down there. So this is a flood advisory that was just issued until 9:30 this evening, and that's going to be for most of Williamson County up into parts of Davidson as well. It's until 9:30 tonight. Minor flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas, and as Will was talking about, ponding of water in urban or other areas, it's occurring or imminent. So radar is indicating some heavy rain due to thunderstorms. Minor flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly in this area. So let me name off some locations here because we have a lot of folks watching probably from all of these areas here. So Murfreesboro, Franklin, Smyrna, Brentwood, Laverne, Spring Hill, Nolensville, Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Belmead, Thompson Station, Bellevue, Antioch, Fairview, Eagleville, Triune, Leapers Fork, Natchez Trace at 96, and Percy Priest Lake. All right, so those are some of the areas within this green polygon here that you see that are affected by a flood advisory. Would not be surprised, guys, if another one is issued up north of that. That would include a big chunk of Davidson County as well.
It's going to be a good idea to stay off the roads over the next few hours. Once this heavy rain comes in, it's not going to be safe driving conditions. This is just really heavy rain coming in addition to the wind and other threats.
I just pulled all my people off the road. They're all headed home.
Somebody brought up a good point here. There are apparently still some people who haven't gotten the message that NOAA weather radio is down, and that's for everybody in Middle Tennessee. So you'll still get a signal, you'll get a message on it saying that it's not available, but switching to another station is not going to help you. All right, so it's better just to keep your weather radio programmed where it is. It'll come back once they get done with maintenance. There's some maintenance and upgrades they're doing to the systems, and so NOAA weather radio is not available today or tonight, and should be back in the next couple of days, but is not available today. So don't get into trying to reprogram your radio to try to find a station that's working. You probably won't find one. Well, you won't find one if you're in Davidson and Williamson. New severe thunderstorm warning that includes Davidson County up on the north side. So this is, let's see, that's going to be for, let's read it. That's going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. And looks like in addition to the rotation of Montgomery County, straight line winds will be possible. So this is going to be for straight line winds as these storms come in from the north. Let's go back to our radar here. Polygon hasn't shown up on this software yet, but that's going to be for straight line winds that are coming out of eastern Montgomery County now, and will be pushing into Cheatham and eventually Davidson shortly. So this is a new polygon there for there it is right there, north side of Davidson County. So straight line winds a possibility. There's a lot going on here. Mostly severe thunderstorm warnings, but still a couple of tornado warnings out there. We're sort of surrounded on the north and south sides by tornado warnings, and our threat right now is severe thunderstorm warnings and flooding. Those are our two big threats right now. Severe thunderstorms, 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds, quarter-size hail, and flooding. Those are our two big threats right now. So the tornado warnings are north of us, up there around Clarksville, and south of us, down there around Chapel Hill in Marshall County. The severe thunderstorm that dropped all the hail in Williamson County is now east of us. The strongest part of it is over there in eastern Rutherford County. A much weaker part of it is there around Nolensville, just kind of hanging around. The thing won't get out of there, but it's right around Nolensville, downpours there. But the strongest part of that is clearly over into Rutherford County now. So the severe thunderstorm threat with that cell is over in eastern Williamson County. That threat has clearly pushed over into especially eastern or northern Rutherford County over there. So our attention turns back to the west where all these other yellow polygons are, which is where the severe thunderstorm threat is. There's a lot of polygons running around out there. But really anywhere inside these yellow polygons here, even though some are within others, if you're inside a yellow polygon, expect severe thunderstorm possibilities, which would be 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch hail. All of that is possible. That is some training rain coming up I-40, guys.
I was just noticing that. Yep, it sure is.
If you can imagine some train tracks here along and just south of I-40, you have a lot of rain coming up all the way from West Tennessee, from Hardeman County in West Tennessee through Madison County, Henderson County, Decatur County, Perry County, all the way up into Nashville now. And that's rain that's going to be it's going to keep coming up I-40. So a lot of rain could be a problem here. Could be a problem in Davidson County along and really either side of I-40.
And does that speak more to the possibility of a boundary that is around that we were looking at around 840 in western Williamson County?
I think so, Will. And I think that also there's a boundary that the supercell left that it's also, which really that's mostly over southern or central Williamson now. There is definitely a boundary there that's left over, and we're starting to see recovery of the air mass coming in from the south. It's still very warm and humid south of Hohenwald and Decaturville. There's still a lot of instability that's coming up from down there. But yes, there is most likely some manner of boundary through that area.
That rain is just going to ride it, like Andrew said, right down I-40.
Looks like it will, but then as this main area of rain that's associated with the front swings through, the boundary might get a push back to the south as all this energy comes through the I-65 corridor.
Let's sort of do a reset here, sort of zoom out, sort of see what's going on. We got a lot of folks watching and asking about different areas, and so every area is a little different right now. If you're in, let's start down here at the southeast, because everybody's eye kind of immediately goes to this tornado warning that's down just southeast of us. Williamson County was included in this tornado warning and is no longer included in the tornado warning. So all clear for southeastern Williamson County from the tornado warning. If you're in eastern Williamson County, the severe threat with that cell that you had just a little bit ago that produced the hailstones is off to your east now. That's in Rutherford County. So things are getting a little better along Nolensville Road. All right. So things getting better along Nolensville Road. Let's back up to I-65. Things looking pretty good around I-65 right now. The rain has passed to the east, but there's still a lot more to the west. All right, so all the large hail that fell through Franklin, Thompson Station, all the way up and down I-65, that has, of course, moved on. You're in a break right now. But then back to the west, let's go into western Williamson County around Fairview. You got a lot of rain coming in. A lot of rain into Fairview, okay, and just to the north. So the severe thunderstorm warning polygons include Fairview for the possibility of some pockets of strong gusty winds to 60 miles per hour. That's possible in Fairview. Let's go on up into Davidson County. Most of Davidson County right now is sort of between everything, all right? So not much going on and no warnings currently in effect in Nashville and Brentwood and to the north, and BNA and Hermitage and Lakewood and Bells Bend and Riverwalk. No warnings in effect right now, but that could probably change as these storms back to the west make their way east. All right, so what's coming in now is sort of the main event for Davidson County. And we're going to have to watch for flooding with that. We're going to have to watch for damaging straight line winds with that. Tornado threat appears at this moment to be up further north, up into Robertson County, and then, of course, over into Montgomery County up there north of Clarksville. Had a tornado actually touch down up there, according to radar. And so we're just watching all this stuff from the west. So Davidson County especially, your rain is coming, and it's going to be there real soon. So that's kind of a little bit of a tour of different things going on. It's a lot of rain coming in, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely is. You know,
A lot of lightning, too.
Yeah. And we've had rain. I drove through Belmead earlier and saw Richland Creek a little bit elevated. So we might have to shift our attention after the convective threat to more of the hydro focus.
Yeah, we'll be watching that too.
Andrew, if you switch over to velocity, you'll see there's a pretty good shot of wind that's going to clip through northern, from the OHX radar, it's going to clip through northern Davidson.
Yeah, right around Ashland, right in the middle of Ashland City right now.
Yeah, so that is going to clip right through the northern part of Davidson.
Yeah, it looks like from Beeman Park up to Joelton, and yeah, that's a decent push of wind there. And looks like winds in the 60 mile per hour range there possible around coming into Davidson County here in the next 10 minutes or so. Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. Headed right for Joelton.
It's always Joelton.
It is always Joelton. Let's see here. Tom, could you take it just for a minute more? I'm going to go get a glass of water. I'm going to start coughing here in a second if I don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's I think that will be the trend over the next hour or so is watching these little areas of very strong winds that are focusing as these thunderstorms come in. Watch for anywhere where the thunderstorm, the front edge of the thunderstorm gets a very tight reflectivity gradient, very laminar looking. And look for any kind of kinks or more of a north-south orientation to watch and anticipate where some spin-ups might occur. And we've had several spin-ups already north of Springfield and the Clarksville area, and those can't be ruled out. We remain under a tornado watch for the next couple of hours. So that is something that we'll be monitoring very closely. I'm going to go ahead and look at my other display here just to see what the latest is a little further north. Yeah, a lot of wind coming into Robertson, a lot of wind coming into northern Davidson right now. And that's going to be the trend as it comes across. And then we're going to really switch to just a slogging run of very heavy rain that's going to take a couple hours to get through. That's just going to create very bad driving conditions, some lowland flooding. Hopefully we will not get that band of rain that extends back along and south of Interstate 40 to train up across the area. That would be bad. But yeah, all hazards over the next couple hours, and it's something that us and the National Weather Service will continue to watch. You can see that area of wind maybe weakened just a little bit, but it's also maybe not quite getting the best look anymore from the radar. So we, going to have to watch that come across the northern part of Davidson. That's coming in, and then it's going to be a long next 90 minutes to get all of that thunderstorm activity through the area as it pushes on through.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. I feel better having a cup of coffee next to, or cup of water.
I just realized my LaCroix is empty, so hopefully I'll have. I'll get it.
I'm so used to like our late night. I'm usually sitting here late at night in this chair, and I'm used to drinking coffee, but water works. All right, let's. Well, that's a lot of hail reports. Look at all those hail reports, Williamson County.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Baseballs. That was a big storm.
I'm glad we get a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be pretty nice weather once we get through this on Memorial Day. So not bad. We can have all kinds of weather, but I'll take the cool weather while we can get it.
Yeah. So Tom, you probably touched on this a moment ago while I was out, but it looks like the main threat here. We're not seeing a lot of rotation happening. The stuff down here along I-40 looks to be more of a wind threat. Is that? But I guess we also kind of have to keep in mind there might be a boundary down there, so we got to keep our eyes on it. But does that look to be the biggest threat? Would be the wind?
Wind and rain,
Wind and rain.
and yeah, and too much rain. So that's what we're concerned about. I think a spin up tornado remains possible, especially Nashville north, and the better chance. We'll have to watch that boundary in southern Williamston. So I think it's certainly not time to let our guard down. But damaging wind and heavy rain right now is the main threats.
So let's talk about the warning polygons that we have right now. We have the warning back there in from the Tennessee River on into Williamson County. That's in effect for 30 more minutes. So that is in effect until 6:15, and then that will likely, depending on what happens, be issued further to the east. But this polygon here is in effect until 6:15, and then the one up here in northern Davidson County is in effect for another hour. That expires at 6:45. That's the severe thunderstorm warning for northern Davidson County. And then the severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County, the storm has moved east, so we can kind of consider this thing gone. So the severe thunderstorm warning in eastern Williamson County is actually is going to go away in about 2 seconds. So that's good. So that's going away. That's now gone. So the only two warnings for us are the severe thunderstorm warning in northern Davidson County that expires at 6:45, and also the severe thunderstorm warning in western Williamson that expires at 6:15. So beyond that, it hasn't happened yet. So we'll have to see how things move east, whether the warnings get extended to the east, if the storms strengthen as they move east, or whether they weaken. So all of that remains to be seen. But those warnings are, each of them are for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and 1-inch hail. Now, at the moment, it looks like those 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be pretty localized wherever they happen. I'm not seeing indications that we have like widespread, just mow the trees down, 60-mile-per-hour winds over a widespread area. It looks like these are probably going to be over, a street or two, localized little channels, little areas of enhanced winds. That's at least the way it looks right now. We'll have to see as these back to the west get a little closer what it really looks like. This is kind of a false view. Your radar beam is looking way up into the storms here. So, yeah, the winds are blowing at, 70 miles per hour, 60 to 70 miles per hour up in the storm, thousands of feet up in the air. As these storms get closer to the Nashville radar, you won't see nearly as much blue. At least we hope we won't. So that blue should start to disappear some as it gets closer to the Nashville radar. But it does look like we have some enhanced winds there coming through. These are kind of those localized areas right there around Joelton, right in the middle of Joelton, and also right here in right around Beeman Park. So that's another spot there where it looks like we have around Little Marrowbone Road, Eaton's Creek, Bernard, Rawlings, Old Hickory Boulevard. Old Hickory Boulevard's everywhere. That's right up there around Beeman Park. So that's where the enhanced winds are now. Could have some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in there, no doubt about it. And that's going to be right there around Joelton and I-24. See if there's a T-dot camera up there. I know they don't have a lot of cameras on 24 Northwest, but let me see here. No, closest one is at Old Hickory Boulevard, actually.
Just a ton of rain coming into the metro right now.
Yeah. Don't like to see that as we start to round out rush hour here.
That wind signature up in northern Davidson looks really good right now.
Go back to it here. Oh, yeah, sure does. Yeah. So right there on I-24, right around the Jolton exit, and just to the east, we got Crocker Springs, Union Hill, Licton Pike, Shaw Road, Ivy Point, Greer Road, Luster Road, Brick Church Pike, Campbell Road, Ingram Road. So these are all places up here as well around Skyline Village. So coming into getting pretty close to the Old Hickory Boulevard loop there on the north side, Highway 45. So could be getting some damaging winds here shortly. So yeah, these look to be 60 mile per hour wind gusts coming in up there. They may have to bring that polygon down just a smidge here in a bit. New tornado warning. That's going to be way to our south. So yeah, it looks like the strongest wind signatures. There's a new signature there, and it definitely looks like a little downburst here. Right around Licton Pike, Union Hill Road, Ivy Point. It's going to be the county line up there. So right around the county line with Robertson County, Licton Pike, Shaw Road, Ingram Road, Brick Church Pike, Licton Pike, Freeman Hollow, Baker Road, Old Springfield Pike, on right into Goodlettsville, Dry Creek, Hit Lane, and Campbell Road as you go into Goodlettsville. So that looks to be where the strongest winds are right now. And we'll see how that progresses over the next few minutes, but that's what it looks like now. Yeah, the way these colors look, Tom, that looks to be kind of a downburst kind of a deal, right?
It definitely is. And it's tapping into, if you zoom back out again, you can see what you're really seeing is that wind west of Charlotte. That's happening above us as well. And that storm's able to mix that. It's tapping into that and helping to create that 60 to 70 mile an hour wind there.
So those winds are occurring up there. It's just bringing those down to the surface.
That's what's happening.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's really why the threat for damaging wind is going to continue for the next hour and a half, all the way through Nashville and Williamson County, any of these storms. And you see there, if you zoom back a little bit, you'll see that you're getting a pretty good reflectivity gradient there south of where those strongest winds were. So that area could, I think you're right, that it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit, I don't know if they've updated it a little further south now, but it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of a further south coverage, a warning there.
Yeah, it looks like the Weather Service is saying some good straight line winds seen on the radar coming into Hendersonville in the next little bit. So, yeah, that's going to be moving east there into Hendersonville, Goodlettsville. So it looks like the strongest winds, at least on radar, they really could stretch up and down this line here. But what we're seeing on radar is right around Licton Pike, Brick Church, Freeman Hollow Road, going over to Baker Road and Old Springfield, and on over into the neighborhoods down in Goodlettsville. So that's where the strongest winds appear to be right now. And, of course, you got the Weather Service radar here. You got Hendersonville up here and Millersville there along I-65. And so that appears to be where the strongest winds are. The radar has a really good view of it right here. As you go down further down in the storm or in the line, it gets a little bit harder for the radar to get a good angle on it. but it's still showing some strong winds down across Hickman County, moving up into Williamson County in the next little bit. So that's right where that severe warning or that severe polygon is, right there from Fairview down to the southwest. So I would expect that, especially as these little enhanced areas of enhanced winds kind of get going, that we would see other warnings issued, other warnings for Davidson County, other warnings for Williamson County. And we would expect to see those sort of expand, some other polygons come out. So probably something that's going to happen over the next little bit, and we'll stick right with it, and we'll be here till they're out of here. Let's watch that area up here in northern Davidson. Looks like we've lost some of the blues. That's a good sign. Still some strong winds, though, right around Freeman Hollow Road, Licton Pike. There's Brick Church Pike going into Goodlettsville, Hitt Lane, Licton Pike, Baker Road, Old Springfield, Shaw Road. Now let's get some T-Dot cameras going. Oh, stream's not available. Stream's not available. It might be related to that construction up there. None of the 65 North cameras are working. Well, I've not had good luck with traffic cameras today. Yeah, nothing's available up there at the moment. Might be related to that construction. They got it all torn up there.
What's our flash flood guidance?
That's a good question. And I'm not in. I know they've changed where to pull that up. I'm not
I'm asking.
entirely sure. Okay. Not entirely sure where to find that now. I know it changed.
Normally, I would have said it's in AWIPS.
When AWIPS is the program that the Weather Service meteorologists use in-house, and they can easily find that information.
I don't seem to have an AWIPS laying around the house here.
You don't.
So that's a shame.
Yeah, we don't have.
It would be down. It would be down today anyway. So
That's right. AWIPS is also the system that they are upgrading at the Weather Service that is causing that NOAA weather radio outage.
and not just Nashville. Birmingham's offline today.
Mhm.
It's doing a bunch of offices at the same time. So yeah, continue to see supercells over the south.
Yep. Sure enough. Let's check on that wind up here. Still some strong winds. The blues have gone though, Tom. That's a good thing. We've lost some of the strongest velocities. It looks like. Well, sure as I say that, crossing I-65 there is probably 60 mile per hour wind gusts there, right
Comfortably
around.
inside the warning.
Look at that, right about 2 streets. About 2 streets inside the warning. There's your warning. There's your severe wind. So 60 mile per hour winds there, right there around Altaloma Road and that's right there by let's see, there's the interstate, so you got like Rivergate Church of Christ right there, and got some of the skate center and some restaurants right around there. So that's exactly where, and we've got a traffic camera right there, but it's not working. It's right there at Altaloma Road. Oh, it is. I think. Is it working? No. Thought I had one there. Well, here's Vietnam Vet. This is really close to that, actually. Yes, yeah. Here's a view there. So this is where that camera is right there in that area of enhanced winds. So that has likely moved just past this camera location, but still blowing pretty hard there. This is I-65 south of Vietnam Vets. Definitely blowing pretty hard there. Keep an eye on that. But that's right where this is. Here's the Vietnam Vets, and there's your strong wind. So it's pushed east of Gallatin Road now, and has crossed Myatt Drive, Shepherd Hills, over toward Twin Hills Road, and right there toward the river. So there's the river. You turn the radar off, you got the river there, and it's headed right there between Myatt Drive and the river.
By the way, OHX told me they were busy. They'll get back to me on flash flood guidance.
I'll poke around. I know where to find it, so I'll poke around here in a minute.
Okay.
But I was going to say, getting 40, maybe 45 mile-an-hour winds here in Germantown. So there's wind along that whole little reflectivity line. If you switch over to reflectivity, you'll see that you can see where the wind is right there. So
yeah, right up and down this line. That's
I
exactly
just got
right.
to Germantown, so we got 40 to 45 along that here.
Okay, Germantown there, right there. So all the way up to Talbot's Corner, Inglewood, all the way up into Madison, Amqui, and Rivergate. So, yeah, exactly. So strong winds up and down that line. The radar just has the best look at it right here around Myatt Drive. That surely by now has crossed the river and is right around Old Hickory Dam. So Old Hickory Dam is going to be right here. If you turn the radar off, turn it back on again, and there's your strong wind. It's moving due east, so it's crossing the river right there in that curve in the river where Old Hickory Dam spits that water out, and the river curves around to the south. That's right where the heavy winds are at this moment. So let's back out just a little bit. That's going to be into Sumner County here in just a few minutes. It's probably already there. Looks like we have 5 road closures in Williamson County, according to Williamson County EMA, and that's going to be due to water. So we've got quite a few things going on here. We've got a water problem, and we've got a severe thunderstorm problem, and the hail reports continue to come in to Williamson County as well as Rutherford County.
I think a lot of the ones we're seeing for Williamson are delayed reports.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. That's what I meant that, and I didn't say it. You're exactly right. Yeah, a lot of hail reports continue to come in from the storms we had an hour or so ago from earlier. So, yeah, a lot of the hail reports coming in are from the storm earlier. Not a lot of hail involved with this latest round. So looking here, radar's kind of, might be some pea-sized hail in there, but not too much going on severe hail-wise. This severe thunderstorm warning has 12 more minutes on it. Let's get a better look at it here maybe. From Pegram down to Fairview. This was that giant severe thunderstorm warning earlier that went all the way back to the Tennessee River, and that warning has been clipped and is now a lot smaller than it was, and that expires here in about 12 minutes. Warning off to the north still in effect. That's in effect for another 42 minutes.
NES outage map just updated. About 1,000 customers without power up in the far northern part of Davidson County.
And I would expect that probably will grow up toward,
Yep.
I think they serve parts of Hendersonville as well. A lot of wind going in up there too, so might see an increase there. Our partner Sumner Severe Weather, she measured 51 miles per hour there in Hendersonville. So yeah, it looks like some definitely respectable wind speeds up there moving into Sumner County. Strongest ones of those appear to be right here, right there around the around Old Hickory and the old DuPont plant there in Old Hickory, and right around Old Hickory Dam. So that appears to be where the strongest winds are right now, according to radar, moving east over into Sumner County. So that appears to be the end of the strongest winds there. And I would expect, Tom, just a wild guess, that this polygon up here in the northern part of Middle Tennessee might get a lot smaller shortly as well, as the heaviest part of that storm moves into Sumner County.
I think you're right. Maybe a little concern on the southern part of it. They might try to just rehash this as one polygon further south. We'll see how they handle it. But if you go back over to velocity on that wide scale and loop it, one of the interesting things I noticed there, like as you look back towards Dixon and areas to the west, that area of really strong wind is getting lower to the ground and getting closer with time. So that stuff is going to be easily mixed by any kind of storm that's able to tap into it. So that's happened over the last couple hours, and that's, most of that's not reaching the ground, but it's going to be more available to reach the ground as it interacts with any thunderstorms that pop up in its path.
So these bright blues back to the west here, as they get closer to Nashville, any of the storms that are coming through can sort of tap that wind energy that's up there. There you see it right there, and can sort of transport that down to the ground, kind of like we saw up here in northern Davidson County, where the blues kind of showed up there. The storms really were tapping that wind energy that's aloft and bringing that down to the surface. Definitely something to watch over the next little bit. Let's go back to reflectivity and sort of get an idea of where these storms are. We've kind of got ourselves a more solid line now, don't we? So really stretching from the Kentucky border down through downtown Nashville, down through Fairview, down into Centerville, and back through Perry County. So more of a solid line there. That's good news in some ways for the tornado threat. But we still could have the damaging straight line wind threat. The tornado threat really has been confined to mostly, not completely, but mostly to these individual cells, these supercells that are out ahead of the line. These are kind of part of that cluster of supercells that brought us the really large hail over Williamson County here a little bit ago, a couple hours ago, I guess. And looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning now. Yeah, this is kind of expected. New severe thunderstorm warning here that covers both counties all up and down the line. So both counties now included pretty completely in a new severe thunderstorm warning. So let's look at some ETAs with this. And this is for the line that's coming in. 60 mile per hour winds possible and 1 inch hail. That's going to bring it into downtown Nashville here about now. And of course, and then Brentwood here about 6:15, Franklin about 6:20, Laverne over there in Rutherford County, and Nolensville about 6:30-ish, and then off to the east from there. So that is with this line that is sort of stretched from southwest to northeast, from Greenbrier, Fairview, Bellevue, up to downtown Nashville and Hendersonville. So they've sort of filled in. Everybody that didn't have a severe thunderstorm warning now has a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, super polygon.
Super polygon, yes. Yes, we've got a big polygon there.
I think you hit on it earlier, Andrew. Not everybody's going to get severe level winds, but there'll be localized channels, as we've been seeing in the northern part of Davidson, of 60 to 65 miles an hour, and that's going to cause some problems with power and trees down. So definitely a good idea to stay inside, get away from windows, ride this thing out, and we'll live to see the next storm.
Yeah, good point. That we're not expecting everybody to get these damaging straight line winds. But any one of these little pockets of heavy rain can bring down some of that wind energy that we see aloft. This is all wind energy aloft around Dixon, Van Leer, down toward Waverly. This is all strong wind that's up a few thousand feet at least in the storm or in the clouds in the atmosphere. And any of these rainstorms here can bring that down to the surface. That's what we're going to be watching for. So if we look here, could have some of that around southwestern Williamson County here to some extent. And then really anywhere up and down the line that could happen. So maybe one little spot of some enhanced winds around Beeman Park again. It's just what we're going to have to watch for. It's a little bit of a whack-a-mole as far as finding those areas of strong enhanced winds. They'll go away and another one will pop up. So they've opted just to blanket the whole line here.
Look how far south that boundary has fallen that we were talking about earlier, Tom. It's really sunk south. Do you believe to the northwest of that is our all clear line for the night?
I think so. Yeah. Yep, I do. Just got to keep an eye on near that line, and to the south of it is the main threat area moving forward, and of course coming through the northern part of Davidson right now.
Awesome.
One thing to keep in mind as that stuff comes into Williamson is you're not going to have a great radial look at the winds, so you won't capture the full wind speed. And that reflectivity is getting a little better. It looks a little tighter, a little more crisp on that leading edge coming into the western part of the county. So anytime you see that kind of a signal, absent being able to see the winds, you can infer there's probably strong winds coming in.
Yeah, so strong winds possible there from Fairview, as far east over there toward Grassland and Bellevue, and on up into downtown Nashville as well. Now, Tom, this kind of coming through your place. How are the winds at your place, you said?
I had 40 to 45 earlier, but now it's just heavy rain.
And that was probably more on the leading edge.
It was, yeah. I really heard it. That's why I took off camera for a minute just to watch to see what we were getting, and it was 40 to 45, sub-severe.
I am going to go do the same.
You can sort of tell when the line hits one of our houses because we disappear for a minute. Go check it. That's one advantage of having multiple people here on the stream is that it's good for us to go and check out and see what's actually happening. You people say, y'all need to go look out the window every once in a while. Well, that's a good chance to do that and see what the weather is actually doing where we are. Kind of helps with the messaging a little bit.
And we're scattered all over the area. So we are
scattered all over the area. That's exactly right. So if I need to take cover, Tom can take it. Tom's far away from me, and we just sort of bounce around to different people. Elin, are you home? Are you at school? We haven't talked to Elin yet.
I'm home.
He's home. All right. So Elin is home. Good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Did you get yourself one of your T-shirts?
I did not get myself one, no. I couldn't get myself to do that.
Some of you all probably watching this stream right now have Elin shirts, and you wear them proudly. And Elin wishes we had not done that. But that's all right. Let's do some ETAs again here. Looks like Franklin gets this thing in about 6 or 7 minutes. They're in downtown Franklin. Nolensville would be about 10 to 15 minutes from now. Triune about 20 minutes. Long Hunter State Park up there in about 10 minutes. Let's say Donaldson at about here pretty soon in Donaldson. and the next few minutes for Hermitage as well. So another 5-10 minutes maybe on that. So this line's moving on through. It'd be great if it kind of came on through, did its thing, and moved on. So as we were talking about just a minute ago, north and west of this line is sort of an all clear area. All right, so let's draw a big area here. All right, so everybody in there is good to go. Your severe threat ends when the main line passes through. So could still be some flooding threats. But looking back to the west, the severe threat as far as the severe winds, tornado threat, all that kind of stuff, goes away behind the line.
There will likely be another little broken line of storms, though. So I think there will be one last little broken line of storms. That'll be the actual cold front.
Oh, we got one back here to the west, don't we?
Yep. So
let's go to the
cold
radar.
front's still way back there, but this is really taking all the energy out of the area. But there will be a couple more storms. Looks like as weakening as they come into the metro area, midnight time frame. This is the main event. So
okay, gotcha.
Keep an eye on. Yep.
Yeah, glad you've said that. That's exactly right. So, yeah, I had not looked back here at the Paducah radar, but yeah, southeastern Missouri, moving into southern Illinois, western Kentucky. Yeah, could have some other storms later on, and we'll just have to see. Our tornado watch expires at 10, and we'll probably be trimmed out of that early. So hopefully with this line, that is the end of our severe threat. That is our hope. No warnings in effect back to the west. So it looks like our polygons here are starting to sort of shrink a little bit. They're starting to get a little bit more confined to where the storms are occurring and where they're going. So our polygons now they exclude Joelton. Joelton, because you got it first for us, you are now excluded first from the warnings. So Joelton, you're good to go for once. And we, the rest of us here from downtown down to the southeast, down into Williamson County, and you guys still going strong down there with the threat of wind, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and possibly some 1-inch hail. And really, for the area of far northern Davidson County, that threat is pushed east of you as well. So that northern polygon might get trimmed up to exclude Davidson County as well. So really up there from around north of Goodlettsville all the way up to Robertson County, there on the highway and back toward Joelton, looking pretty good there as well. So really the threat for Davidson County for the strong damaging winds looks to be pretty much from the Briley Parkway loop down to the south and to the east. So like Madison, Lakewood, Inglewood, Donaldson, B&A, everybody kind of there down to the south. So along and ahead of this line is where the strongest winds appear to be. And we're not going to have a good look at it on radar. So going and looking at radar here, we're just not going to have a look at it. It's on what we call a bad radial. It's just the radar is not going to have a good view of these winds. So entirely possible you may get some strong winds and we just won't see it on radar.
How you holding up, Elon?
Great.
All right.
My dog, not so much, but
For a little look behind the scenes, Elon has been doing all the tweeting for about the last hour.
Been doing a good job.
Been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Tom, explain a little bit why we are a little bit calmer here on the stream than we were a couple hours ago. We've sort of transitioned from a kind of a different type of storm here. What are we looking at? What's a little different than what we had here a couple hours ago with that supercell coming through here?
Yeah, that supercell that really got itself together around Centerville it was on its own. It had a few other storms that interfered with it, but it was just one storm that had all the atmosphere to work with, and it had very much instability and turning winds with height, all the ingredients we look for severe thunderstorms, and it had it all to itself. As the stuff got going later on, that cell was a little bit interfered with, but all the stuff that formed west of Nashville and south of the Kentucky line, there was just so many thunderstorm updrafts that no one updraft could become dominant. So there really was only so much energy to go around. So instead of one or two storms able to capitalize on all that energy, what we saw was all the storms capitalized on a little bit less energy. So there's still a ton of wind energy blowing out there. Still have that potential for any of these updrafts, downdrafts to tap into that. That's why the warning is warranted and remains in place. But it's a different character of storm now. It's a much more widespread, but not as intense threat as we saw with the supercell that moved through Williamson County earlier.
So while we may be looking at a really large severe thunderstorm warning here, a couple of things to note with it. Number one is that we don't expect that every single person inside this yellow polygon is going to have wind damage of 60 miles per hour. We expect those places to be lower in number, further apart, probably pretty isolated areas that do get 60 mile per hour winds potentially with this line as it comes through. So localized winds. The second thing I notice about this is that there are 3 levels of severe thunderstorm warnings. We have kind of a level 1 severe thunderstorm warning. The storm is severe, has the potential for 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch hail, but that's kind of a level 1 warning. That's kind of what we have now. We have kind of a level 2 warning. We saw one of those a little bit earlier. And then we have a level 3 warning, which we rarely get around here. But we had one, and that was that storm that came through Williamson County and dropped the really large hail for a baseball-size hail for us over Williamson County. Had that level 3 severe thunderstorm warning with it that we just don't see around here very often at all. And so this is back down. What we have now is kind of that level 1 base level severe thunderstorm warning for a storm that could be severe, could meet that threshold barely, could meet that threshold of severe thunderstorm, 60 mile per hour winds or 1-inch hail. And so that's what we're watching for now. So the tone has changed a little bit from a couple hours ago where we had really a very serious situation from a hail perspective, and we were very closely watching the tornado threat. That supercell, it had some looks to it that had us concerned that it could wrap up and start putting tornadoes down. Luckily, it did not. But the updraft was very healthy, and the hail was very big for us. So so things have changed a little bit, and so we're not as on pins and needles here as we were a little bit ago. Really a while ago, we were hoping for the best and sort of preparing for the worst, and that has changed a little bit. We're a little bit more casual tone here than we were. Thing just kind of looks a little more disorganized lately, especially down here to the southwest of Nashville.
Yeah, I think there's still severe wind potential from Franklin north on that leading edge. But another thing, and we'll have to see what happens over the next hour, because the air mass to the south of Williamson County is not really modified. It's still low 80s, just south of the area. And so not totally out of the woods, especially the far southern part of Williamson County for some new development. That's interesting to see if that happens. But yes, the overall tendency is for the disorganization versus intensity.
New flash flood warning here for Williamson County. Basically, that area that was in that advisory has now been upgraded to a flash flood warning. That includes really south of I-40 in Davidson County, and then really all of Williamson County. And that's going to be for heavy rains, for the rain that fell a little bit ago. Getting some reports here of some high water. Let me pull one of them up here for you.
It completely makes sense based on some of the reports I'm getting as well.
Yeah. So get some reports from over on Del Thomas Road in Smyrna, and right on the Arrington-Nolensville-Smyrna line. So, yeah, I'm getting some reports of some flooding there. So totally makes sense, as Will said, that flash flood warning is issued, and that's going to be in effect until 9:30 tonight for that heavy rain that is pushing into, or really has already gone through and is now pushing through again, areas of southern Davidson County and most of Williamson County here.
I suspect some areas of central and western Williamson County got 2 inches of rain already. So this stuff coming in is really going to exacerbate what happened earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing some areas here, Tom has sort of taught us this over time, that when we find these areas of sharp reflectivity gradients, which basically, let's just call that, you get the reds right next to the nothings. All right, so you got like not much going on here, and then you got a strong wall of water. This could be an area where we have some strong winds. We're not really going to be able to see that with radar. All right, let's go over and look at radar. That's what radar looks like. It doesn't look impressive. That doesn't mean anything really, because it's radar's got a horrible view of it right at this very moment. Okay, so we're not going to see wind occurring here on radar between Brentwood and Antioch up toward B and A. So now we could see it on traffic cameras. I'll pull those back up, but we're just not going to see it with radar. So wind damage possible there inside that warning polygon, really from Brentwood and the neighborhoods on the east side of Brentwood up toward Antioch and Percy Priest Lake. See if I can get us a view of it. Let's see here. That's Brawley. It's going to be just south of Brawley. Yeah, there it is. There's some wind. A little hard to tell, but I see the trees blowing for sure. It looks to me and that's probably in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range there around Haywood Lane. It's also kind of down in a little drop there. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. Strong winds blowing there around Haywood Lane. And you can kind of see on radar where that is. That's just north of where the word Antioch is there on radar, just northwest of that. That is not a fun drive on a good day. And right now it's really not fun.
Absolutely monster thunder at my house right now, northwest Williamson County.
Probably getting some of those positive strikes.
We've gotten one, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four. Five that I can see. One of them appears to be in my neighborhood.
You know it's a positive strike when the whole house shakes.
Yep.
So for all my friends in Horseshoe Bend, that is what a positive strike feels like.
Looks like, and I missed that just real quick. Looks like we had a flash flood warning issued for the rest of Davidson County as well. That may have gotten by me there real quick, but yeah, new flash flood warning there that was issued at 6:26, 2 minutes ago. New flash flood warning for the northern part of Davidson County as well, which also reaches into Cheatham, Robertson, Sumner, and Wilson. So you can kind of see that green polygon there on the north side. New flash flood warning there. So high water expected in areas of Davidson and Williamson. So the red box there is our lightning. Let me turn the lightning off so you can kind of get a view of what's going on here. So the tornado warnings are confined to our southeast. You can see those down there southeast of us around Woodbury, around Shelbyville, Manchester, and McMinnville, and over to Spencer. So kind of a line of tornado warnings down there. One supercell after another lined up to our southeast. Down in that area that Tom was talking about where the air mass is really still warm and moist and has a lot of energy, available energy there with it. And our atmosphere up here at my house, it's 67 degrees. So the temperatures come down quite a bit, of course, with the rain. So we're not quite as favorable for the supercells that they are down there.
Am I seeing overlapping flash flood warnings?
They're right next to each other.
When you draw those, you want to try to get a tiny bit of overlap so nobody gets left out of the notifications.
Gotcha. Why two different ones instead of one big one?
Well, go ahead, Tom.
Times?
Sorry.
Are they different expiration times?
Let's see here. One is 9:30, and the other one is 9:30. No, they're the same expiration time, but they were issued at different times. So the northern one at 6:26, the southern one at 6:23. But
stuff happens.
Yeah.
Busy day for our friends at the Weather Service.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're right in the middle of this upgrade of their software, and which is why your weather radios are down. So it's interesting to see where these warnings come from. Friend of the program here, who used to work at the National Weather Service office in Nashville, is now at the National Weather Service office in Fort Worth. And he is actually issuing the warnings. Here are tornado warnings and our severe thunderstorm warnings today. So these severe thunderstorm warnings were drawn up by him and issued from down at his desk in the Fort Worth Weather Service office. And the flash flood warnings here have come out of the office in Knoxville or Morristown. So good help coming in from the folks around us, helping us out during this upgrade. So the idea is that nobody really knows what's going on. Of course, we got the NOAA weather radio problem, but all of the warnings and advisories are still issued as if nothing ever happened. A lot of backup plans. Good chance to test those, I guess.
Classic supercellular signature in bell buckle.
Yeah, kind of a little mini supercell down there. Yeah, so right here where you see the right here where you see this velocity gradient here, we really can't tell much about this other than that this is where the wind shift line is. So right along the county line on the east side from Rutherford Davidson down into Nolensville and down into Franklin. It's a matter of where the radar site is up here in Old Hickory, and it's just not going to show us actual velocities of these winds coming in down in areas like Nolensville and southeastern Davidson County. But pretty gusty out there. We've seen that on the traffic cameras. But hopefully nothing severe. Looks like they're redrawing they're updating the warning polygon here. We'll see how it changes. Switch over to this radar. There we go. Yeah. So all clear for places like Bells Bend, Beeman Park, Riverwalk, Joelton. So all clear for y'all, and even Goodlettsville and Ivy Point, Licton Pike area, those of you up north in Davidson County. So all clear for y'all. The severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect there from basically downtown Nashville down to the southeast to through Antioch, down to Franklin and Brentwood and Nolensville. A lot of rain in there. Looks like Weather Service in Huntsville has issued a tornado emergency down there for Huntsville. So that's never good. Just like we had the highest level of severe thunderstorm warning up here, that is the highest level of tornado warning that you can get actually down there. So that's a tornado emergency down there for northern Alabama over toward the Huntsville area.
Yeah, it looked like there were some NROT spikes in that and the bell buckle storm, both over the last few scans, if you're looking at the high top radar.
Volatile environment out there today, that's for sure.
So it looks like, rain tapering off in the metro. Still raining real hard in Franklin, but no severe winds, but lots of rain.
Yeah, downtown's starting to let up. Downtown Nashville, still a lot of rain from Hermitage, Donaldson, Antioch, B&A, all the way down to Brentwood and Nolensville, Franklin, Thompson Station. Still a lot of rain there. It looks, the good thing here, a lot of the heavy rain that we saw, look at this radar image here. We were seeing this area of heavy rain training up into Nashville, coming up I-40. That has significantly weakened. So not much left of that other than some remote heavy downpours there. So this thing's looking less impressive by the moment as far as the the intensity goes, strongest winds are probably through Davidson County now. Looks like, whoa. So looks like they're coming through from Nolensville down to the Ladd Park Ag Center, Spring Hill area. But Will, have we what have we gotten as far as reports from this particular system? Anything as far as any wind damage from this thing?
Lots of wind-driven rain. The only damage that I've seen has been north of Briley Parkway. Think Springfield, Clarksville, that area where we had that complex of more intense wind, tornado warning, seeing some trees down there. For us, what just came through, inside the 440 loop, most of the reports that I'm getting are just wind-driven rain, small tree debris, nothing severe.
That's good.
Tom, does that match what you saw come through where you are?
Absolutely. And I like to use the outage maps from the utilities as a proxy for storm strength. And
Absolutely.
Really did not light up nearly as much over southern Davidson and far northern Williamson as it did over the northern part of Davidson. So that tells you it was most likely maybe a few channels that we couldn't see, but mostly subsevere coming through.
Looks like they're starting to trim the tornado watch as these storms push out of here. So Houston, Robertson, Stewart, Dixon, Humphreys, Montgomery, Cheatham all got canceled out of the tornado watch, which was originally scheduled to expire at 10 o'clock for them. So that's good news out there west of us and north of us. Of course, it continues here for Davidson and Williamson, but it won't continue till 10 o'clock. They'll cancel us out of that watch early as these storms move out of here, but definitely looking a little more ragged than they did.
That was Metro calling me, telling me there's a flash flood warning. So, thank you.
Yeah, let's talk about those just real quick. So everybody in Davidson, Williamson's included in these flash flood warnings here. They expire at 9:30, and you see two polygons here, but really it's for the exact same thing. So flash flooding a possibility, and in fact is probably occurring in several places around both counties. And so it would be great if you could send us some of your reports, whether it's wind damage, whether it's hail, whether it is heavy or flooding, I should say. Send that to us using hashtag TSpotter on Twitter or a DM over on Instagram. That's a huge help to us, and that would be very helpful as these flash flood warnings continue. So what to do with that? Obviously, if you're in a flood-prone area, prepare for the possibility of some flooding, probably fairly brief flooding. This isn't the kind of flooding that lasts for days. This is the kind of flooding where you typically have an up and you have a down, and it goes up and down pretty quickly. So hopefully not too much of a flooding issue, at least ongoing. So we'll see, but definitely be careful if you are driving. Absolutely.
Yeah, the stuff just kept moving right on through, so that is a good thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's moving a little more now. That's a good thing. Absolutely. So the part of this that the radar can see well sure doesn't look severe in Wilson County. So that's encouraging. So right before it went through Hendersonville, it kind of perked up. We had some 60-mile-per-hour winds being indicated on radar right there around Rivergate. And then once it crossed the radar site, we really didn't see that anymore. On here, it would have turned orange. And we really haven't seen that at all since it crossed through there. So hopeful, guys, that we just kind of dodged a bullet there on the severe thunderstorm part of this thing.
Just got my first broken windshield photo of the
Oh
day.
boy.
Yeah, it stinks.
Here it is. That'll do it.
Sure will.
We sure don't get a lot of broken windshields from hail in these parts, do we? But
No, that's a Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska problem usually.
We tend to have just a little too much moisture for that here. So it's we get lots of hail here, but to really get the big hail, you need some drier air or you need super strong updrafts. Today we just got the updraft that was strong enough to do that.
Yeah, there was a 3D image that I shared earlier of the storm structure that had this kind of bulbous bulge coming out of the top of the anvil, right? And you could tell that that was gonna just produce something abnormally large when you see that, like a big hail pocket overshoot.
Oh yeah.
so for I'll go ahead, Tom.
I was just I suspect they'll either cancel early or let these warnings go here in a little bit. They'll probably let the leading edge get out of that warning polygon, and don't anticipate anything for our focus area being issued after that.
Yeah, actually, just as you said that, Weather Service says looks like the main line of storms is on the downward trend. They don't think they're going to reissue the severe for the main line, so that's a good sign. So it looks like this will be the last of the severe thunderstorm warnings for us for the moment. It looks like they just carved a little bit more out, gave some all clears there for pretty well Nolensville, Franklin, Brentwood, Fairview, all of Davidson County, all clear from this line. So really the only places remaining are the south parts of Nolensville. Maybe a little bit of hail potentially down there around the Williamson County Ag Center, Ladd Park, right there in that purple area. Could be just a little bit of hail in there. So really Page High School, College Grove, Triune, really the only area left in this polygon as it continues to move off to the east, and they're trimming areas out of it as it moves through. So tornado worries are low. That's pretty much limited to these cells down here in southeastern Middle Tennessee, around Coffee County and over toward Van Buren County. And for us, pretty much just the wind threat, the wind and the rain. The wind and the rain. Those are the two primary threats for us right now. Got some pictures out of Creve Hall, and let me go over to here. Here's the rain threat. So these are some pictures from over in Creve Hall, just in a matter of a couple of minutes, they say. So it looks like water coming over the. I'm trying to picture. I don't think this is Hogan Road. But these are some of those creeks. There's quite a few creeks here that run through Creve Hall, and they can turn mad in just a couple of minutes. And that's what's happened there.
Same with I don't know the name of that creek on Southall Road, runs parallel to Southall Road.
Yeah, it's way up
southwest
too.
of Franklin, way up. In fact, covering the road, looks like also covering the road, Highway 96 at Lampkins Bridge.
So for the 9,134 of you that are left here on the stream, let's just sort of reset a little bit, shall we? The biggest threat at the moment for us in our two counties, Davidson and Williamson, is the flash flooding threat. The flash flooding threat is for all of us in Davidson and Williamson counties. So the flash flood warning is in effect until 9:30 tonight. So between now and 9:30, you could encounter high water if you're driving, or if or potentially where you live if you live in a flood-prone area. The next threat is for some people from Nolensville down to the south, toward Triune and Arrington and Trinity, and down toward Page High School and down to College Grove. That threat is for the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. So that potential exists there for that cell that's down in Williamson County right now. You also have that flash flood threat, but you also have this severe thunderstorm warning down there just in that southeastern or eastern corner of Williamson County, really from 840 around to the county line and up toward Nolensville. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some hail is possible there. It's very small hail. Doesn't look like there's a lot going on there in the hail department. Boy, I can hear the rain falling here. Don't even have to look out the window to know it's pouring down rain at my house.
Looks like another 7 to 10 minutes, and that leading edge stuff there is going to be out of Williamson County. So,
Well,
you can see the light.
Works for me. Well, that's a lot of water coming down.
Mm-hmm. On top of a lot of water that fell earlier.
On top of a lot of water that already is on the ground, yep. I tell you who's happy right now are the, well, maybe not. We call them frog stranglers here, but I was going to say the frogs are happy. We've got frogs out here. Man, they are so loud at night right now. We got a pond close to our house, and man, they are going to town at night.
And they're going to have lots of mosquitoes to eat. So those are coming.
Absolutely.
Well, we
looking at
call these frog stranglers, so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up. I might. If I don't hear them tonight, I'll know what happened.
You're looking at this picture of this flooded front yard in Creve Hall, and that's all I can think of is the mosquitoes that will be there in a week.
Yeah.
One of my good friends is a TV meteorologist in Texas, and he uses a skeeter meter on his broadcast.
Oh, we might have to steal that.
It's pretty funny, and he's pretty good. He's over the years he's really figured out when the broods are going to happen and when things are going to go from bad to worse in South Texas. And mosquitoes there are a different kind of animal than they are here in Middle Tennessee.
When do we anticipate the watch getting pulled back for our two counties? Probably pretty soon, right?
Yeah, we're kind of right on the edge of it. They've canceled it all the way down to us, and so Cheatham and Dixon and all of them have already been canceled out of it. So we're the next tier of counties to be pulled from the tornado watch. Again, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
It's an easier call for Davidson than Williamson just because the air mass over Murray is still so unstable. So I think they're going to be a little nervous about something close to the county line in the next little bit. But Davidson, it should be relatively soon.
Yeah, getting some, just noticing here on radar some flooding reports coming in from Williamson County. I think almost all of these, Will has already mentioned here. Flooding report on South Hall Road in Franklin. Several roads closed across Williamson County due to heavy rain there. Flooding reported Trinity Road, Highway 96. That's right there around that new highway construction they just completed. So some flooding reported there on Trinity Road. And then also around Lampkin Bridge Road. I think Will mentioned that one as well. So a lot of water coming through. This is just going to take a little while to work its way through the creeks and eventually into the Harpeth, Duck River, and Cumberland River. It's just going to take a little while for the water to work its way through the system. It's just got to work its way through. So the creeks first, the small rivers second, and then the bigger rivers after that. But sometimes things can just get a little overloaded going through the creeks and the smaller channels there. Yeah, it looks like these new storms down here in eastern Hitman County still have yet. It looks like they're brand new, and they are going to come up into Williamson County, it looks like. So we're not completely done with the rain, but they're not warned. But it will add to the rain totals there in Williamson County from like Spring Hill up to like the 840 area, maybe over to Nolensville. Probably east of there toward Triune, though, or south of there, rather.
Still convection happening in Triune. Got reports of pea size. So,
that's perfect, actually. Good call, because look at the hail here. That's exactly what this shows. So this is our hail view here. And, yeah, pea-size hail right there in Triune. Perfect. That's good to know. You know, it's just so amazing to like see something on radar and you get the report of the exact same thing happening at ground level. It's just the technology and the HRRR predicting that the HRRR model doing so well. I mean, I know it's not perfect. It's a long way from perfect, but man, the technology we have is just amazing.
It's amazing. And just being able to filter through what you already saw on the HRRR, the HRR, and then what you're seeing on radar is a tool that just didn't exist early in my career. So being able to anticipate storms, what they're going to look like, when they're going to hit. It was a real guessing game previously. So we've come a long way. We still have a ways to go, but it's amazing how far we've come.
But just also think about, Tom, I mean, early in your career, I mean, I hit the letter M right here. Literally, I just hit the letter M and I get to see a view of what the radar thinks hail is doing.
Yep.
You know, it's just like, and that's available to anybody. Like,
yep.
I mean, you don't have to be sitting in front of the radar scope anymore. You don't have to be. I mean, it's just amazing the access we have now to this radar data. Very, very helpful. The problem is when I switch software. So like when I, go to a different radar like this, a different piece of software, and go back and forth, I'm hitting my shortcuts and it doesn't work and it messes it up. And I'm like, I kind of get used to going through my products here, and I can get fast fingers and mess a program up. But really nice to just have all these products available. This thing's about out of Williamson County.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we'll be flying Drone Force 1 in Rutherford County tomorrow in support of the National Weather Service and their storm survey efforts.
Oh yeah.
It looks like some pretty good damage there showing up on the internal Slack. So
Yep.
a lot of supercell action south and east of us today.
Boy, look at that tornado warning off east of us. So that's getting right up against the Morristown office's area of responsibility. So that tornado warning is off there from Van Buren County all the way over into Cumberland County.
People in the chat want to know where David is. He's having dinner with his family. He had to peace out, had an obligation, so y'all don't need to worry about David.
That's also another benefit of having so many people available. We can be flexible when we need to be flexible.
That could be a good idea though for our next T-shirt.
Where's
There's
David?
David.
Where's David?
So, Andrew, let's talk about all clears.
Yeah, let's do that. Good call. Good call. Let's go here. Oh, that warning just went away. Yep. Everybody's all clear.
That was easy.
That was easy.
Ask
Yeah.
and you shall receive. That's
Exactly.
the power. That's the power Will has. I don't think people understand how much power Will has.
What, they issued that flash flood warning when I
Is
asked
that-
for guidance? And
Yeah.
Is that going to be Will's T-shirt? Asking you will receive.
Will's got and we can't see it because it's in front of him, but it's all dials and switches and levers, and he's running the show right
steam
there.
gauges. And,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh man. Yeah. So let's talk about our threats now. So really, the threat at this point is flash flood driven. If you are in Davidson or Williamson County, or really any of the surrounding counties as well, we've had a lot of rain, and that rain is working its way through the creeks and the ditch in your front yard. It's going into the rivers, and it's going to be managed better as it gets into the rivers. But while it's here in the creeks, things can go up and down very fast. And so the flash flood warnings are in effect until 9:30 tonight for all of both counties, and then most of the surrounding counties as well. So the flooding threat is the largest threat at this point. The other threat, to be honest with you, is really damage driven. And what I mean by that is to say that if you're driving down a road like the one I live on that's fairly rural, and you come over a hill or go around a curve and there's a tree across the road, happened to me the other day on our road, then you've got a problem if you can't stop real fast. So heads up for any kind of damage, any trees that are across the road, anything that might be a hazard to you driving. Just be careful with that from damage that may have occurred earlier. And that's really the biggest threats right now. The tornado threat and the severe thunderstorm threat are east of us now, south and east of us, for the moment. Now, one caveat that Tom's been talking about has been that the atmosphere down here around Murray County, really south of 840, is still kind of favorable for some severe weather. We see that in the storms down here around McMinnville. We obviously see those tornado warnings. The cells down here in southern Middle Tennessee still kind of have that look to them as they could get a little ugly. So we're still in the tornado watch. We're not out of that yet. That will be our official all clear when that tornado watch is canceled for us. But for now, it looks like things are behaving. Now, back to the west, we were talking just a little bit ago, Tom, about the storms back around Illinois and down into the Boot Heel, Missouri, and now actually in northwestern Tennessee. So the idea here with these is maybe some scattered storms later.
Yeah, that's along the actual cold front. So as that comes in, there'll still be enough lingering instability as that cold front slides under the air mass. It'll pop up some storms, rumbles of thunder, some gust of winds. I guess it could have some small hail with them, but the severe chances look extremely low with that line coming through later on.
So that's good news for us. And they've already started clearing the tornado watch back to our northwest. So they're not expecting, because of that, they're not expecting these storms to get out of hand back here in northwestern Tennessee. So those are our threats. That's where we stand. We stand in a pretty good place right now, except for the flash flooding threat. Here in Davidson and Williamson, we're in a pretty good place. So let's do this. We're going to jump off the stream. We're going to go over to socials and continue to send in your reports of hail. If you have some pictures on your phone, you weren't able to get those to us earlier, go ahead and send those to us. Hashtag TSpotter. Use that for Twitter. DM us on Instagram, and that would be very helpful to have those. Any wind damage that you have as well, that'd be useful for the Weather Service. Any wind damage that you run across, let us know at nearest cross street or something like that. A picture's great. Send that to us using the same methods. And flooding, same thing with the flooding. If you run across anywhere that's flooded. All right, let's jump off, guys. And 3 hours and 10, 11 minutes is long enough for us. Let's jump
Good
off and
enough.
let these people go back to what they were doing before. And we'll jump back on if we have to. All right, see you later.